Gracie, we'll have you back on later.
Yeah.
Gracie Abrams.
Yeah.
Abrams.
Is it, what is he? I always say Gracie, just see if I'm unsure.
Gracie Abrams.
Abrams?
Yeah, it's Abrams, yeah.
Yeah, Abrams it is. How are you today?
I'm good, ready to go.
Did you have a good drive to work this morning?
No, I didn't actually.
Why not?
Because I was very low on fuel.
Oh.
Yeah, I was.
Was
yeah,
it your own
zero.
motor or was it Highland's motor?
Yeah. Well, I'm
Your
not
own?
getting into that, but yeah, I miscalculated things and it was squeaky bum time coming up.
Were you a bit panicky? Was it like
was
20%
I?
left
Yeah.
on the vehicle or something like that?
20? No. I was low on fuel.
Oh, diesel?
Petrol.
Petrol.
Yeah.
Right.
None.
Was the light on?
No, the zero was on.
What do you mean zero was on?
Wow, you must be so rich.
What do you mean the zero was on?
There was no petrol in the car.
But did the light come on?
The light had been on.
Oh, it's been on for a long time.
No, it hasn't. It's just...
It didn't kick in the light then. So you're
the
all
light-
right. You've
no,
about
no,
60
no.
miles
I
on
don't-
that.
Yes, but okay. I'm not going to hang myself here trying to explain it to you, Gooch. But anyway, yeah, I'm here and everything's fine.
That's
The car's
great.
fine, yeah.
Right.
Why did you ask, was my journey stressful?
No. It says, how was your journey to work? I didn't
All
say
right.
it was stressful. You said it was stressful. Get you out of it. You're digging your own hole. Get on with the news.
Take care of yourself, Lee. Back with you tomorrow morning. It's 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update and it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Avoidable deaths are being caused by a shocking variation in cancer tests and treatments across the country. The Irish Cancer Society says it's identified delays for urgent referrals for both breast and prostate cancer in certain areas. It comes just days after the Journal Investigates published figures showing Letterkenny University Hospital as the country's worst performing when it came to starting treatment within 15 working days of diagnosis. That's a finding echoed by the ICS today, which found only 20% of cases in Letterkenny met the target. The chief executive of the ICS is Avril Power.
1 in 4 people nationally did not get access to the breast and prostate rapid access clinics within the target timeframe, but in some centres compliance is far lower. So for example, less than 30% of patients with an urgent referral attended the Matter breast rapid access clinic on time over those 12 months, and only 13% of patients accessed the prostate rapid access clinic in Galway on time in that period too.
A Donegal deputy says houses at Elm Park in Buncrana are facing immediate danger and an urgent decision is needed to relocate them. The houses, which are built on a floodplain, are affected by defective concrete and the recommendation is that they be relocated rather than rebuilt at the same spot. However, 100% Redress Deputy Charles Ward has now told the Dáil one family has begun moving with the defective concrete scheme to start the remediation process. And Donegal County Council has indicated if that happens, the relocation option will be off the table for all residents. Deputy Ward says the situation needs to be urgently clarified.
One of the family's homes is such a bad structural state that the family see no alternative but to move ahead with the defective concrete scheme and start the remediation process of demolishing the house when their planning is granted in the end of July. We've been told by Donegal County Council, however, if this person does this option of relocation for the rest of the residents will be withdrawn, understanding the very real danger of rebuilding in Elm Park. Relocation is cheaper, safer and more sustainable option than rebuilding on a floodplain, Taoiseach. Will you give reassurances that the residents of Elm Park will be relocated?
Well, in response, the Taoiseach confirmed that Minister Kevin Boxer-Moran will meet with Elm Park residents next week. And Deputy Padraig McLaughlin says answers are needed following recent figures that show 257 post offices across the country have closed in the past 10 years. Donegal has seen the closure of 19 within the same period. Deputy McLaughlin says the issue affects all areas.
56 of them are in towns and cities. This isn't just a rural issue. So we need statements. We need the Minister. We know from the Irish Postmasters Union that 40% of the remaining post offices are threatened. Their existence is threatened unless you have a serious support for that sector. So we need statements, we need questions and answers, we need an actual future for post offices, not more of the same.
And the Social Democrats say consumers will vote with their feet if they see how much profit their supermarkets are making. The party's bringing a motion before the Dáil later today looking for major retailers to provide transparency on their finances. A Barnardo study this week found 1 in 5 families had to cut back or go without food over the last 6 months. Social Democrats TT Jennifer Whitmore believes that if shoppers knew they were being gouged, they would react.
When it comes to groceries, I mean, we have so many people who are struggling just to pay for the pure basics at the moment. You know, if it was very clear to them that certain supermarkets were really pushing up the prices of those very basic groceries, I think people would go to other supermarkets where that wasn't actually happening.
Weather forecast cloudy to start today, but warm spells of sunshine will break through during the afternoon and into the evening. Top temperatures of 19 to 21 degrees Celsius in light westerly winds. That's Highland Radio News for now. Back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
Hassle-free broadband is here. With 3 5G home broadband, you just plug it in and you're good to go. From only €20 a month for up to 12 months. See in store or visit 3.ie. 12 months offer available to existing 3 customers excluding business and broadband customers. Applies to 5G home broadband plans only. Subject to coverage. 24-month minimum term. Direct debit and annual price increase of CPI plus 3%. Speeds may vary.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. Welcome along to the show. 5 minutes past 9, just turning on this Wednesday. It's the 9th of July. How you're keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed. Right across the northwest of our beautiful country, or wherever you are listening to us around the world. And we want you involved in the show. By the way, you might not get a vote in the elections, but you can certainly get an opinion on the airwaves here in Ireland. So if you are listening from outside the Republic, 00353 86 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000. Or indeed give us a call, 00353 7491 25,000. Or from inside the Republic, 07491 25,000. And from space, Mars, wherever you are, comments at highlandradio.com. That is the email. And we've got a packed show for you as always here on the 9 till noon show, and we want your views, your comments, your stories. Pass them on to us, and of course after 10 o'clock too. And I'm not saying it's not a dictatorship here. We can do requests at any stage, of course, but we do tend to find ourselves playing requests for people just after the 10 o'clock news. So if you have someone special in your life, you want to say hello to them, maybe they're celebrating a special anniversary or birthday, feel free to get in touch with us right now, and we'll group them in for our birthday roll call just after 10 o'clock. That's the same contacts, WhatsApp text 086 60 25,000. The Finn Valley Voice is available to us this morning. The constituency office of Charles Ward, a Drumkeen homeowner with defective blocks, was officially opened in Ballybofey on Friday morning. Deputy Ward's 4 children, Charlie, Anna Rose, Beth and Shamie, officially cut the ribbon to mark the opening of the new constituency office. It's a big deal, really, because it's the first constituency office set up by the 100% redress party politician and the party itself, I suppose. On to the Nationals now, and you heard Donald reference this in the news. Almost 1 in 4 women who require an urgent appointment at a breast cancer clinic are not seen within the target time frame, new figures show. The Irish Cancer Society published new data today showing delays in access to testing and treatment of cancer in the state. Now, just to be clear, there can be sort of the same or similar information that it seems like we're repeating. The Journal did a dive on the figures themselves, and that's what we were talking about earlier in the week, and we were seeking the Irish Cancer Society to comment on that, but they had their own set of figures coming out. And this is what's out today. The Irish Cancer Society published new data today showing delays in access to testing and treatment of cancer in the States. The urgent symptomatic breast disease clinics aim to see 95% of patients within 10 working days. However, between March 24 and February 2025, only 76.3% of patients received their appointments within the recommended time frame. That's an average. So 95% of patients should be seen within 10 working days. This is critical to people's the success of their treatment, or indeed in some cases whether it's life or death. And I hate to be that harsh and talk in those terms, but this is why it's so important people get very fast access to cancer treatment. So there was also significant variations between hospitals. The lowest compliance was found at the Mater in Dublin, just 28.9% of patients seen in this time frame. But to Letterkenny University Hospital, where we've ongoing problems, 59.8%. So 95% is the target. The national average 76.3%, but in Donegal only 59.8% of people started their treatment within 10 days. Let me see. Is it actually see the urgent symptomatic breast disease clinics aim to see 95% of patients within 10 working days. Sorry, so that's to actually see them. So you can imagine if you are going through that, you have been referred, you trust those referring you, and you want to get sorted as soon as possible. You're going to miss your targets in Donegal more than you are on the national average, and that is a concern. Also in the paper today, a big rise in self-generated child abuse material. This is an important story because this is where I think we have a big role as parents here, because what I'm going to be reading out here, and my apologies to any younger ears that are listening, is the biggest provider of child abuse images, nude images of children, inappropriate images of children, are actually now being generated by the children themselves, the young people themselves. So I think it's something really we need to make sure we talk to our young people about, so they understand the consequences of it. That people might sort of, try and coerce them, either with threats or love bombing them to share these types of images, and then they find themselves on the internet, and it's highly illegal, but also it's problematic because stuff on the internet is there forever. And I don't think this is one we can necessarily rely on IT companies, the state, Snapchat, whoever it might be. I think we as mums and dads, or any combination of the same, need to be sort of having a conversation early on about, don't take compromising pictures of yourself because they end up in a cloud, and certainly don't send them to anybody else. But self-generated content was the most prevalent form of child sex abuse material in Ireland, accounting for a quarter of cases reported last year. The term self-generated indicates when material is most likely to have been created by the child depicted, such as photography sent voluntarily or due to coercion. Data published by hotline.ie, the Irish internet hotline, today points to a self-generated content crisis with a 116% increase in such material during 2024. Hotline is Ireland's reporting platform for illegal online content. Now, I don't buy that the majority of this material has been created by children. I think that's the data that they have access to, but I don't think that is the case. That being said, Hotline.ie's annual report revealed that 11,505 submissions made to its portal for reporting illegal online material were of self-generated material. So we're going to be talking about that a little later on. And as I say, we need to be sort of saying, don't be taking pictures of yourself, don't be sending them to anyone, because it's a big problem in this country. And as I say, it's so important. We're going to be talking to the people behind that report very soon on the show, so stay tuned for that. Dodgy boxes, I think they're seen as a victimless crime. The GEA is giving out today about the loss of revenue because people are using, Fire Sticks or whatever form of illegal streaming, Android devices, yourself. And I don't think really people are too bothered that the GEA are going to be giving out about this. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying people see streaming as a sort of victimless crime, getting one over the big boys, be it Sky or the GEA, the Grab All Association, or whatever way you want to. And as I say, I'm not in any way justifying it, but you're not going to guilt people or scare people into stop doing it, I don't think. But anyway, the GEA has called for stronger laws to tackle the use of illegal dodgy boxes, which the organisation said is reducing its online streaming earning power by as much as 40%. Noel Quinn, the head of streaming services at GEA Plus, said piracy is crippling the amount of money being taken in by the online platform. GEA Plus bought out RTE's 50% share of the streaming service in February of this year, but Mr. Quinn would not be drawn on how much it was sold for when questioned at an Oireachtas committee yesterday evening. The committee heard there are upwards of 400,000 so-called dodgy boxes in Ireland, which both GEA Plus and League of Ireland TV, the League of Ireland streaming service, said are severely hampering their ability to grow their games. I would say, again, I could be wrong, people might be more sympathetic to the League of Ireland than the GEA, but anyway, that's it. And you've seen an awful lot of articles lately kind of trying to scare people into not using them. It's kind of questionable what element of it is. Is it illegal to actually stream if you don't download? Is it certainly illegal to sell the streams? I don't know. I have my concerns, and this is in the Irish Sun, I have my concerns that, when we were reaching the tipping point where we fell into recession here in this country, I'm starting to see an awful lot of stuff that we were seeing just in the lead up to that, high percentage mortgages, playing with planning laws. And there's, what we ended up with is defective concrete blocks. We ended up with poxy, damp accommodation. We ended up with the pyrite scandal. I think it's very important in our rush to provide housing and cut corners or change legislation that we don't find ourselves taking our eye off the ball and finding ourselves with another defective concrete block issue or something similar in 10 or 20 years. But it just feels that that's the space we're in, that we're so desperate for housing that were prepared to do anything, even if it's the wrong thing. Renters will have to pay $3,000 a month for dark shoeboxes following a rule change to shrink the minimum size of apartments, it's claimed. The government has been accused of bending over backwards to entice developers to get back to building apartment blocks. It comes as the housing minister yesterday dropped rules around the standard of homes that can be built in Ireland. Minister James Brown issued new guidelines which reduced the minimum size for a studio apartment from 37 square metres down to 32 square metres and scrapped a rule where only 50% of a development could be one bed or studio apartments. So, you know, everything we're doing to try and attract developers and to try and attract building in this country is actually, there's very little in it, or seems very little in it for Donegal. Who's going to be building a load of tiny apartments here in Donegal? It's not going to happen. Is it? Maybe one might pop up in Letterkenny, but it's not going to ease the housing crisis. What is being done to sort of get more regular housing into the market? But again, I would be concerned that when we start sort of playing fast and loose with planning laws and regulations, we end up with defective concrete block scandals, and I certainly hope that that is not the case. The Star tells us that institutions and religious orders involved in historical sex abuse in schools will be held accountable for the awful crimes the Education Minister has vowed. The government approved the establishment of a commission of investigation chaired by Mr Justice Michael McGrath. Education Minister Helen McEntee, who outlined the details of the commission of investigation, said that any redress scheme would have to be funded by the religious orders and organisations. The issue of sexual abuse at schools across Ireland was exposed in November 2022 by brothers David and Mark Ryan. Mark has since sadly passed away. And finally, in the Irish Daily Mirror, Donald Trump is said to be worried that socialite Ghislaine Maxwell may reveal details of his past ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Sources say the president grew increasingly concerned before his Department of Justice decided to close its probe into the disgraced financier without charging any of the high-profile associates. The abrupt announcement that the FBI inquiry had concluded came just weeks after Elon Musk named Mr. Trump as appearing in the Epstein files, but sources said that behind closed doors it sparked fresh panic in Trump's camp, and it's driven a massive wedge through MAGA in the United States. MAGA would be the sort of collective movement behind Donald Trump, because for years he and other leading people in MAGA had said that there were very high-profile people, that Jeffrey Epstein were trafficking young girls to an island for their to be abused by these high-profile figures, and they said they're going to expose it. It's crazy what's going on. People need to be held accountable. And then now all of a sudden, the very people that were calling for it say there's nothing to see here. Move along. There's no list. There's no blackmail. There's no nothing. Which is really quite concerning. And then, you know, people now think Elon Musk is this hero, this savior of it all. He's naming people left, right, and centre who was on the list. He says that Steve Bannon, a very close associate of Donald Trump, was on the list. Donald Trump himself was on the list. So has he seen the list? Is no one asking Elon Musk, well, how did you see the list? Well, where is this list? If you know names that are on the list, have you got the list? Why don't you publish the list? But instead he's dropping little names here and there. Very, very strange. But his supporters, like it seems, lots of people that support people regardless, don't seem to want to ask him those questions. How does he know so much about the list? And if he's got the list, as he's able to name people off it, or he's seen it, why doesn't he publish it himself? But anyway, it is what it is. Very unfortunate. It seems to be that you can abuse women and children, and men, of course, and just get away with it if you're high enough profile, and you can just cover it up and hope it goes away. That seems to be the world we're living in now, very sadly. 086 60 25,000. Any views on any of that, please get in touch, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till Noon Show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton, now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts: Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumblin' Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
Foster carers are urgently needed in Donegal. If you have space in your heart and home, you could change a child's life. Contact Orchard Fostering today on 074 9706 109 or visit orchardfostering.ie, because every child deserves a safe and loving home.
Imagine this, toes in the sand at Old Head Beach, the thrill of zip-lining at Westport Adventure, wandering colourful streets, ice cream in hand, sailing across the calm waters of Clew Bay, the wind in your hair on the Great Western Greenway. Westport. Find your own adventure at destinationwestport.com.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie. We're serving up summer at Dunn Stores, and it's barbecue season. Mix and match 3 for €10 across a fantastic range of meat and fish. Try something vibrant like succulent king prawns. Or enjoy Boardbia quality assured meats like piri piri chicken wings or new hot honey pork belly slices and many more. Any 3 for just €10. Plus, save at the till with a 10 off 50 grocery voucher. Dunn Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Oakfest 2025 returns to Oakfield Park this September 6th and 7th. 2 days, 2 stages, 1 unforgettable weekend. Enjoy live music, incredible food and drink, and glamping under the stars, all in one of Ireland's most spectacular settings. Saturday, live and original, featuring Wet Wet Wet, Boney M, Racy, and the Whistling Donkeys. Sunday, Legends Reimagined, with tribute performances to the Eagles, Blondie, Springsteen, and more. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at oakfieldpark.com.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time now is 21 minutes past 9. We welcome on to the programme Mick Moran, CEO of Irish Internet Hotline. Mick, thanks so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Can you hear me okay, Mick?
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Right, I was just reading there in a quick run through of the papers, a major increase last year in the levels of self-generated child sexual abuse material appearing online. So what's the Irish Internet Hotline's role in sort of identifying this, and talk to me a little bit about sort of the numbers we're discussing here?
Well, very important to make the point that self-generated material is a label that we put on child sexual abuse material that meets the legal standard for child sexual abuse and child pornography under the Child Trafficking and Pornography Act of 1998. And we put that self-generated thing because we assess it to have been made by the child themselves. It is in no way blaming them. It's in no way casting any aspersions on the child. And we're seeing this massive increase in it, which is very worrying because the vast majority of the kids in these images are preteen kids. And the guards and other police forces around Europe and everywhere else are seeing this increase. What's happening is the kids are mimicking, not in all cases, but in most cases, the kids are mimicking what they're seeing online in music videos, maybe in pornography, maybe what they're seeing in the home. And they're mimicking that, which meets the threshold and the standard for child sexual abuse material. And what's really tough about self-generated stuff is that, and it's interesting because I hear TUSLA are going out with their report, their annual report this year as well. Each of these cases where we assess that this is an Irish child or whatever, when I say we, I mean An Garda Síochána, they're obliged to report it to TUSLA. That means family intervention. It means people calling the guards and the social workers calling to the house. And in the vast majority of cases, it's just kids who have been given unfettered access to the internet, who've been let loose, essentially, online. And I've always said it, and I'll say it again. If you're giving your 7-year-old child a mobile phone that has 24/7 unfettered access to the internet, you are giving the world, through the internet, access to your 7-year-old child.
Yeah, it is something we have to factor in because, I've made the analogy in the past. You wouldn't go into the biggest shopping centre in the country, or any country in the middle of Brazil or Germany or wherever, and, dress your child, in inappropriate clothing and allow them to wander through and interact with the public. You simply wouldn't. But that is, unfortunately, what we are doing with mobile phones. Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, Mick.
No, I was just going to say, like, what happens to these videos then is that people with a sexual interest in children collate these images and movies. They collate them, they download them, they screen grab them, they collate them, and they share them in their closed groups on the deep web and on the web itself. And that's one of the unfortunate things we're seeing, is that it is very simple to automate the putting up of a forum on a web server. And if you host it with a bulletproof hoster, that's a hosting company who won't respond to the guards or won't respond to law enforcement. If you put that website up there and we ask them to take it down, they won't respond to us either. And the result is that it stays up there longer than we would expect. And we're always keen to try and get these forums taken down, but it turns into a whack-a-mole situation. And these people who have a sexual interest in children are out there. They're harvesting this material from the internet. So your child naively puts up a video of themselves imitating, I don't know, some pop star, shaking it all out. And then these guys are there who have a sexual interest in children are then using that material to titillate and to, let's face it, to masturbate and to become aroused. And that sharing of it then means is where you get this nightmare scenario of the internet never forgetting.
Yeah, and also and we'll talk about images that are taken and shared, but what they're doing is harvesting and reposting this stuff. So you can't look at it and go, it's only messing about. Unfortunately, we do have to consider the terrible motivations of some people. And I think it would be unimaginable for anyone listening to this show to think that might happen. But, Mick, we know it is happening. And it may well have happened, and that sounds shocking. And I know the language you used was somewhat graphic, but I think it's important that we understand what the end game of this is. You can't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, no, you cannot sugarcoat this. You cannot sugarcoat that. Essentially, true. Look, I'm going to call it out. True negligence by parents who are allowing their kids this full-time access, especially in bedrooms late at night. The kids are just naturally doing what kids do, and they don't understand the implications of their online activity and the implications for that in the real world. And we're seeing it. This is why our figures are so out through the roof this year. We're seeing it. Law enforcement are seeing it. And Garda Síochána are seeing it. The PSNI are seeing it. And it's just so easy to prevent. That's the point I'm trying to make. It is just so easy to prevent.
Now, and as well, you see, the thing about it is even the younger kids as well, they've got private pages. They've got a public page and a private page. And if you're 18, 19, 20, say, for instance, in terms of Snapchat, you've got a private story, you've got a public story. That's fine. Maybe you don't want your mom and dad necessarily seeing what you're up to, right? Because it's not nefarious as such. But, you say, like, if you've got a 12-year-old with a public and a private channel, you're going to have to ask yourself, why in God's name is that, or even younger? So that stuff that might innocently, in inverted commas, being taken and being posted and then harvested and repurposed by perverts, then there's obviously going to be self-taken images. And I presume it's a mixture of those being coerced into taking and sending images, or perhaps those that are love-bombed into doing so. But once they're sent, they're sent.
That's it. And it is very true that there is coercion out there too. We have seen an increase in sexual extortion activities. We had that McCartney case there in Newry, and there's been plenty others down south. Like, things are just, there is a wave. We'll see it in our report next year. There's a wave of sexual extortion out there. And here's an interesting fact for you. Of the sexual extortion victims who have contacted Hotline in an effort to have their movies and images taken down, 83% of them are boys and men.
Yeah.
And that's a reversal on the self-generated stuff we're seeing is mostly girls. The people being trapped in sextortion scams are boys. And it's coming through the initial contact is being made on gaming platforms, on the consoles. And this is another nightmare for parents to consider. And look, let me say before I go any further that there's absolutely plenty of resources out there. If you find yourself trapped into this, don't be worrying. You're not alone. But for God's sake, lads, cop yourself on. There's a very famous rule on the internet, rule number 30. There are no girls on the internet in the sense that want to do things with you on video. And I would say to you, if you're going to engage in a bit of sexy time with somebody online, well, make sure it's somebody you know, at least. Because otherwise you're going to fall into these sexual extortion traps. You'll end up paying money out, and you'll be living this nightmare of the threat that all this intimate stuff of you is going to be shared with all your friends and your network.
Well, of course, and also I'm sure we'll probably never know. There are people that felt they couldn't live with that any longer. But you can always get help, and you should reach out. By the way, it's very important to mention. Mick Moran, thanks for so much of your time. I do appreciate it. Thanks for your contribution.
No problem. Thanks for talking. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. That's Mick Moran, CEO of Irish Internet Hotline. Minister Patrick O'Donovan, Minister for Culture, Communication and Sports, with me now as well. Good morning, Minister. Thanks for your time.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
And, funny enough, we're talking about broadband and the amazing advances and how it can sort of, open up life and business and rural Ireland. And the flip side of it is horrible people around the world exploiting our young people on it. But anyway, we'll talk about the positives for the moment. The National Broadband Plan, how is progress going in terms of the rollout, Patrick?
Yeah, so look, the progress is really, really good. The total government investment so far is over 2 billion. The total number of premises that have national broadband available to them now is available to pre-order is over 400,000. And in Donegal, for instance, an enormous investment of 128 million. The total number of premises that are going to be covered by the plan is 104,000. These are massive numbers. And that's the total number of premises in the county. And the total number of premises that are available for what they call order and pre-order in County Donegal is 23,000. So, look, we've already seen almost 5,000 connections in County Donegal. We're going to see more, and the investment is really, to be quite honest about it, has been transformative. I come from a rural area myself, and I know particularly during COVID, it was a lifesaver in terms of being able to work, educate your children, being able to communicate with the outside world, and being able to maintain rural communities. The government, the previous government decided to make this investment. It is a massive investment into rural Ireland. A lot of people criticised it at the time. Some very high-profile politicians and some very high-profile civil servants criticised it, but it has been absolutely transformative for the people who have been connected, and we know that there are thousands more that are going to be connected and that will avail of this.
You satisfied those responsible aren't just picking the handy jobs to make the figures look good, because we want to make sure that people even in the most remote areas have equal access.
Well, if you saw where I was this morning, you could not possibly come up with a comment handy job, because I'm on the largest offshore island in Ireland, in Achill, which I don't think you would say is anything other than remote. It proof positive that this is anything other than a handy job. This is the reason we're doing this, is because these are the areas that nobody, from a commercial point of view, was going to touch these areas without the government's investment. So this is on track, it's on target, it's on budget. It's one of the largest infrastructural projects that we have seen in the country since rural electrification. I don't hear any, opposition TDs roaring and shouting about the great success that it is, because it's a good news story, and why would they? But it is important, I think, for listeners in County Donegal and elsewhere to recognise that this is a massive government investment into rural communities like the one that I represent in West Limerick. And has been transformative for people all over the country. Mm-hmm. It's not that long ago that your show and every show on commercial radio stations up and down the country was dominated by the absence of broadband. I haven't heard that being mentioned for yonks, and we probably won't, because Ireland is going to become a European and a world leader now in terms of access to high-speed fibre broadband, thanks to the government's intervention, thanks to the decision we made as a government, and thanks to the investment that we're making in places like County Donegal.
All right, thanks for that. That's Minister Patrick O'Donovan, Minister for Culture, Communications and Sport. Good morning.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now until July 14th. This weekend, enjoy Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. Plus family fun and entertainment for everyone. For full details, see Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Connolly's Audi Sligo is bringing the showroom to you. Join us on Canal Road, Letterkenny from July 14th to 19th for the 252 Audi All Access Test Drive event. Experience the thrill of driving the all-new Audi A5, the impressive Audi Q7 or the refined Audi A6 all in one place. Explore our full range of petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid and fully electric Audi models. Don't miss this chance to test drive your dream car with Audi Sligo. To book your appointment, call 071 911 5333 or visit connellys.ie.
This week only, get a free upgrade to Loganair's Fly Flex Fare. Enjoy a larger 23 kilo hold luggage allowance, increased change flexibility, and collect more Avios, all at no extra cost. T's and C's and exclusions apply. Book by 9th July, travel from 1st August. Booking changes may incur additional fees. Book today at loganair.co.uk.
Looking for a career in Donegal with real purpose and growth potential? Tata Consultancy Services, proud winner of Workplace of the Year, is hiring customer service professionals. Be part of a passionate, innovative team with great opportunities to grow your tech career right here in Donegal. Apply today at tcscareers.ie. That's tcscareers.ie.
In the lead up to Donegal's All-Ireland semi-final, Highland Radio will broadcast the Score programme from Carndonagh GA Club this Thursday evening, where we'll be joined by 2012 All-Ireland winners Ryan Bradley and Declan Walsh. And with several other players from Inishowen involved in the county setup, we'll also be joined by the neighbouring clubs. That's the Score, this Thursday after the 7 p.m. news, live from Carndonagh GA Club, in association with Doherty's SuperValue Carndonagh. Proud to serve and support our community.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for no obligation quotation on 913233.
086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. 086 60 25,000. Or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. I'm not sure if it's just this building, but it's feeling quite warm in this studio. Are we starting to see those? Temperatures increase? I do wonder. Very shortly, we are going to be joined by our next guest, but I just want to catch up on a couple of comments here, just whilst we do. There's a massive amount of irresponsibility amongst parents with regards to the internet and phones and media in general. I harp on about this all the time, but it's absolutely baffling that parents are letting children of Snapchat, an app's absolutely prime for grooming, or TikTok, a known massive propaganda machine. TikTok is a particular concern and something we can talk about a little later on. Right, now we are joined by Emma Monaghan. Good morning, Emma. Thanks for joining us. How are you keeping?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Vice President for Welfare of AMLA. It is, isn't it? Intus Namaclane. No.
Yeah, it is.
What's that, Caroline? Intus. Yes, that's what I said, is it not? Okay. Anyway, she's talking in my ears, Emma. You're from Letterkenny. You're studying at DCU. And you took part in a protest about college fees. So why did you do so, and how many turned up, and what was the mood?
Yeah, so basically we were protesting yesterday because the Programme for Government stated that over the course of the government that they would work to abolish the third level college fees. And we're seeing the complete opposite, where the fees are going up instead. We had a great turnout. We had a lot of student unions from around the country, everywhere from Kerry, Athlone, Dublin themselves. We had a great turnout. Opposition parties, students coming out as well, which was great to see, especially during the summer months. So yeah, it went really well.
And it seems, certainly from a student's perspective, and I'd imagine many of the parents and guardians that support them were going in the wrong direction. I think there was a perception, right or wrong, that this was the beginning of the abolition of fees, not that this was a short-term cost of living measure, that this was about sort of, right, the government is keen to abolish them altogether. Let's start off by cutting them by $1,000, etc. And here we are back up at 3 again. Were you always aware that this was a cost of measure thing, or did you believe it to be a long-term reduction?
I suppose we were always told that it wouldn't be forever. At the start, I suppose, when I saw that it was coming in, I think I was in my final year of college, and we were all saying, "Oh, this is great." Cost of living is so high, but the cost of living hasn't changed. And now to be taking away these supports is just a complete step in the wrong direction.
It's not just about maybe returning this reduction to, you were calling yesterday also for a roadmap to the abolition of fees for third level students. We have heard some opposition parties very keen on that, but of course it's down to the government. They're the ones in power. It's they that can do it and affect any actual change.
Yeah, I suppose it has been promised in the programme for government. So, and it's something that Aontas MacLean, USI, has been pushing for many years. And I suppose, especially just with the timing of this announcement, they're not really giving people much time to budget for the increase. And even yesterday, Minister Lawless was still saying, "Oh, we don't know if it will be 2,000 or 3,000. There's lots to do before the budget comes out," which I don't think is acceptable for parents or students.
And the students is a big united movement, and can potentially, if organised, exercise an awful lot of pressure in relation to this. The summer recess is next week, right? So everything political seems to go quiet, and they're off well into the new academic year. What do you think might be next from students' representative organisations? Do you believe that we could see, even greater mass demonstrations?
You'd hope so. I mean, through ourselves in AMLA, we have member organisations from all over the country. We often organise different demonstrations, protests, different actions, whether it's sending a letter to a minister about a certain issue, and we work on so many different issues, and there are so many passionate people throughout the country, and so many passionate students who get involved with their local students' union. So if we don't see this decision reversed, then I hope to see more action, yeah.
All right, we'll follow with interest. It affects an awful lot of people in our part of the world, Emma. Thank you very much indeed. That is Emma Monaghan there, Vice President for Welfare of AMLA, which is Aontas MacLean in Erin. And she's from Letterkenny, studying at DCU. A caller says, what do you think about the SPHE programme that's in schools at the moment? I don't know enough about it. I know bits that were in it that I wouldn't be necessarily comfortable with. When you see what's happening with our young people, that there seems to be a lack of awareness that there are people that are prepared to exploit them, that the difference between right and wrong, what your body is for, what it can do, and what you shouldn't do. If we're failing as parents and guardians, there's a need to be a bit in the SPHE programme about what is appropriate and inappropriate in terms of what you post online. Now, just to be clear, some of what we were talking about and what meets the threshold for child abuse imagery could be young girls, more likely young girls than boys, taking part in TikTok trends, that on the face of it might seem innocent to some, but it certainly isn't, because it's harvested and repurposed. Something in terms of the SPHE, something has to be, I don't mind if there's something in there personally, if it teaches boys and girls what's right and what's not wrong, what's right and what's wrong in terms of themselves and what they expose. The warning needs to go around the schools, driving this home, the dangers of all this extortion. Yeah, indeed, I would agree. A caller says, would love to hear some of our local Trumpers take on Trump squashing the Epstein case, and he did squash it. Bondi and Patel are his personal sidekicks. They like to pretend they're all about protecting the children. Bondi said she was releasing the files. They were all on her desk. She was going to go through them, and now apparently there is nothing there. Right, we're going to be talking about public facilities in Knock with Sally after these.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Join us Monday, July 14th for the festival's grand finale, featuring ABBA Sensations Live, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. For the latest festival updates, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Brian McCormick Sports. Summer sale is now on. Click on bmcsports.ie. Up to 50% off. Brooks, Asics and Hoka footwear. In-store and online. Women's Adidas clothing. Save 30% on tops, tees and matching bottoms. Adidas and Puma football boots clearing up to 50% off. Summer sale now at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny. Or click on bmcsports.ie for next day delivery.
Make real summer savings at Super Value. Like large pack family meats such as burgers and mince, €5 each. Selected ranges like Coke, Cadbury and Hunky Dory's, 3 for €5. Scan your Real Rewards card or app and get Comfort Fabric Conditioner 80 wash, just €5. And Robinson's Fruit Shoot 8 pack, now €3. Make real summer savings at Super Value. DRS applies.
At Specsavers, we've got hearing devices that can stream music or movies. Ones that are good in crowds, rechargeable battery ones that are good at home, ones that are good in the great outdoors, ones that connect to phones, ones that fit in your ear, ones that fit over your ear, ones that fit in wherever you happen to be. We've even got ones in our advanced range that use AI to make speech sound clearer. And they're all available at great Specsavers prices. So book a free hearing check today, because OK hearing is not OK. Terms and conditions apply.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranraer. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Buy any new Renault passenger vehicle from Highland Motors in Letterkenny before the 19th of this month and get a €500 Shop LK voucher on top of Renault's already great offers. This is for a limited time only, so don't miss out at Highland Motors, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. See highlandmotors.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenney's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Right, let's have a look at that weather forecast. And today here in the northwest, a cloudy start with isolated showers, but warm spells of sunshine breaking through during the afternoon and evening. Temperatures up here 19 to 21 degrees, which is pretty mild for the northwest. Right, Sally, sorry for holding you. Good morning to you. Right, Sally, you wanted to raise the issue of public toilets in Knock. What was your recent experience?
Last Sunday week we went to Knock. I came from the Clare side and I was meeting family from the Donegal side. So we left at 6 o'clock in the morning. We were above at Knock, maybe about 7:30. And we just wanted to go to Mass and just buy a few things and get prayers and things like that there. So we tried to, there's a car park around at the back, which is the public car park. So we went up there and we needed the toilet, and the toilets were locked at that stage. So we went over then to the parish church over where you buy the cards and all. And we went into the toilets there. Now, they weren't too clean, those ones, but they, I just asked, for a place with so many people coming to it, the toilets just let it down.
So the ones by the church are okay. Ish, but you can use them maybe. Yeah. But the ones at the car park, the ones at the car park.
Oh my God! Yeah, when we went before we went to Mass and went into the Basilica and then we came back around and we needed to go to the toilet before we were leaving. So the public toilets were open at this stage. So we went up the steps. Oh my God, Greg, the smell and the darkness and the dirt was something else. Now I happened to go into the disability toilet, and my heart just goes out. If somebody has to go in there and use a wheelchair, oh my God, I don't know. They're going to come out with something new. I'll tell you, germs.
And
you
of
know?
course, they may be wheeling themselves in there, so the floor would need to be really clean, wouldn't it? I know some of bars, but your arms or hands potentially could be in contact with wheels. I can imagine that. Am I right? Yeah, it's the floor's dirty too.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, there was cobwebs. Excuse my language, but there was cobwebs. There was just pure dirt. No, I don't know. I was just thinking, look, and there was bus tours. There was everything, going up on there. And I just thought, oh God, any vulnerable person. Now we happen to have hand gel, so we wipe before we use But and it's the old chain toilet, the old chain.
Yeah.
But I just thought, oh my God, as I said, I can only speak for the one that I was in. My sister was in another cubicle, and she said they were terrible. Now if I had a bottle of bleach, Greg, I would have cleaned them myself. But I just thought they were. We came out nearly feeling dirtier than when we went in. If that makes any sense.
No, it does. It does.
But my heart just went, because now August now there's the pilgrimage and everything above there. And I thought, right, first of all, for a person, as you say, to wheel in, but even to touch the bars, there's it's not just fresh dirt. There was cobwebs. The toilet was completely black at the bottom. It was just. I loved Knock, and we had a lovely experience, but that just put it off for me then.
And I know it's a religious destination, okay, but there's also a monetary benefit to the local area. A lot of people go in there. Like I was chatting to students recently, and I think 10,000 of them descended on it. So.
Of course.
If it's not the responsibility of Knock Shrine themselves, which I'm not quite sure, we've reached out to them. Mayo County Council surely should recognise the importance of Knock and the reputational importance of it, and make sure that the toilets are clean and well looked after, especially for the more vulnerable, Sally.
Oh, exactly, because you can imagine, and even touching everything was just so dark from when you were done. The smell just hit you, and we had to go. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought, right, so we did use them. But I just thought, oh my God, there is people going there that are looking for help, maybe in tours, and are definitely, there's wheelchair users and there's everything. But those toilets, I'll tell you, will put you off.
Yeah, it's a whole show, isn't it? It's a shame. It's a shame.
Oh, terrible. It's because the religious, and there is thousands of people go there every year. They get plenty. Me alone, I went into one shop, and I spent between myself and my sister, we spent over €200.
Yeah.
On little relics and all. And I just thought, right, can they not even do, keep the public toilets clean? It's they're rotten. Sorry,
I wonder are any councils doing it right? Because, obviously, especially at this time of year, Sally, here in Donegal, our main tourist attractions, it's a perennial problem. It just seems to be maintenance. It's the issue. We can provide good facilities, but we don't seem to be able to come up with a proper maintenance plan.
A decent toilet, that's it. And that's what I was saying, and I said to my husband, I said, I would even volunteer and go and clean them. Yeah. But then you see, who's fucking, you're treading on somebody's feet then, like.
Yeah, well.
But God bless, Greg, they really, and like that there, I don't know who's responsible. I didn't know who to complain to.
Yeah.
So I just thought, right, okay, maybe I would say it to your show, like.
No. Listen, we do appreciate it, and we're trying to ascertain that ourselves and get a statement because it's an incredibly busy part of the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
I know, maybe am I just being a moan?
Not at
all.
Or
has other people experienced it? And even when I go from Donegal to home, there's only certain places now that I go to toilets because some of them are just, public toilets, and they're signed on the back to say that they've just cleaned them.
Yeah.
Do you know? And
but sometimes you see those signs. I see those signs, and I sometimes think, did someone just sign their name and walk in and
signed
walk out?
It and didn't exactly. They had to have, Greg.
Yeah.
Because there's the floors are dirty, the toilets, there's toilet paper lying everywhere, and I just thought, I work in healthcare, so I would never say anything unless I done it.
Mm.
Do you know? But in there, they're just ticking a box, and nobody's held accountable.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying. Well, let's see what other listeners' experiences are, Sally. It's a very valid point, and we appreciate you sharing it with us. All right. And you're not moaning. You're right. You're right in what you're saying. We have to talk about these things. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Sally. That's Sally there. If you experience same 086 60 25,000, as I say, these stories are often not exclusive to our county. You do see elsewhere around the country as well. Right, people have no home. Some of those who do have them falling down around their ears. Third world healthcare, huge price increases everywhere, and the government want praise for spending millions on high-speed broadband. Nice to see they have got their priorities right. Well, I just let him at it, to be honest with you, and I don't mean that in any way disrespectful. Great, all this broadband. Surely, give it a few years, and the costs of having it will be like the ESB. The bills will be up. The only one thing about broadband, there does seem to actually be proper competition there, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you feel there's a lack of competition in certain markets, but I sometimes get the impression, or often do, that you can shop around, you can get good value broadband. But anyway, the public toilets in Rathmullen need attention badly. We need to keep them looking well for visitors. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is we do those things now in this day and age. Because if you go back 20 years ago, someone went to, say, Rathmullen and had a bad experience in the toilets. That was it, right? But now people can take pictures, they can put it on social media, they can put it on TripAdvisor, they can put it on Google reviews. Rathmullen, lovely, but do not go near the toilets, they're rank. Let's just say they put that review up. People are planning their trips and they go, you know what, I might need to go to the toilet. I've got, a bladder issue or a bowel issue and I'm not going there. It's so important in this day and age that the basic facilities are. I mean, how many times have you gone into a lovely restaurant or bar and you're having a nice experience and you go into the toilets and they're absolutely mank and you walk out with a negative feeling about that venue? Well, think about that on a county-wide basis. Is that what we're allowing ourselves to happen? I was shocked to hear yesterday that Residents Group is going to be responsible for fallen trees in their estate. Surely this has huge implications for residents' associations. I, for one, as a member of a residents' association, will be resigning at my next meeting. Well, I would love to speak to some members of residents' associations. My understanding is the council. My understanding is the council encourages, the plantation of trees, and then when it comes to the maintenance, it's the responsibility of the residents. If it is part of planning that trees are put into situ, surely then you can't, or can you? Surely then you can't sort of say, well, they're your problem now. We made you put them in there, but it's not our problem, it's your problem. So if you've heard about that and you want to get involved in the conversation, we're talking about it in the next hour. The usual number, WhatsApp or text, 086 60 25,000. Okay, stay where you are because we're going to bring you now the very latest news and the obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton, now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts: Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
It's Bedroom and Mattress Week at Easy Living Furniture. Everything's reduced in store and online with hundreds of sale specials and free delivery on all bedroom and mattress orders over £499. Hurry, Bedroom and Mattress Week ends soon. Only at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore, 07495 325 75.
Are you decorating your home or maybe designing a workspace? At SPHE, we've got everything you need. As the largest paint and wallpaper stockist in the Northwest, we supply trusted names like Faro and Ball, Dulux, Fleetwood, Little Green and Colour Trend. So from residential to commercial, we'll help you get the job done right. Visit SPHE's in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet, where our qualified interior designers and paint colour consultants are ready to help.
Getting your first electric car is like meeting your partner's family for the first time. Nerves are normal. You were stressed about awkward silence with her dad. Now you chat for hours about sport. You worried her mum wouldn't like you. Now she likes you better than her own son. Likewise, once you experience how great an EV can be, you'll never look back, especially if it's a Skoda. Order your electric Enyaq or Elrock today.
Skoda.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
McGowan Hearing, your audiologist experts, now in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonna. Book your free hearing aid consultation in our clinic or your home across the northwest and beyond with Dara McGowan on 07191 00208.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Avoidable deaths are being caused by a shocking variation in cancer tests and treatments across the country. The Irish Cancer Society says it's identified delays for urgent referrals for both breast and prostate cancer in certain areas. It comes just days after the Journal Investigates published figures showing Letterkenny University Hospital as the country's worst performing when it came to starting treatment within 15 working days of diagnosis. That's a finding echoed by the ICS today. It found only 20% of cases met the target in Letterkenny. The Chief Executive of the Irish Cancer Society is Avril Power.
Yeah, it is a postcode lottery. You can call it health apartheid. You can call it whatever you like, but it is so shocking to see that where you live can have such a big impact on your test. It also has an impact on the treatment. So nationally, 1 in 7 people waited longer than the target time frame to start their chemotherapy, which is 15 working days. But in Letterkenny, 4 in 5 patients were late starting their chemo, and in some months last year, nobody in Letterkenny started their chemo on time.
A Donegal deputy says houses at Elm Park in Buncrana are facing immediate danger and an urgent decision is needed to relocate them. The houses, which are built on a floodplain, are affected by defective concrete, and the recommendation is they be relocated rather than rebuilt at the same spot. However, 100% redress Deputy Charles Ward has told the Dáil one family has begun moving with the defective concrete block scheme in order to start the remediation process. And Donegal County Council has now indicated that if that happens, the relocation option will be off the table for all residents. Deputy Ward said clarity is needed now.
One of the family's homes is such a bad structural state that the family see no alternative but to move ahead with the defective concrete scheme and start the remediation process of demolishing the house when their planning is granted in the end of July. We've been told by Donegal County Council, however, if this person does this option of relocation for the rest of the residents will be withdrawn, understanding the very real danger of rebuilding in Elm Park. Relocation is cheaper, safer and more sustainable option than rebuilding on a floodplain, Taoiseach. Will you give reassurances that the residents of Elm Park will be relocated?
Well, Taoiseach Micheál Martin has confirmed that Minister Kevin Boxer-Moran will meet with residents of Elm Park next week. The Progress flag will fly at the Letterkenny Public Services Centre during Pride weekend next month. Members of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District agreed this week to fly the flag from August 14th to 17th. The Progress flag is an update of the traditional rainbow flag, incorporating the intersex and trans communities. The proposal to fly the flag was moved by Councillor Declan Meehan.
I think it's extremely important for all sections of society to get involved in Pride. We have seen over the past 2 years, this is now the 3rd year of Letterkenny Pride, the town of Letterkenny, various organisations, companies, businesses rowing in behind the committee that do such excellent work there to bring one of these very fun and positive events to the streets of Letterkenny. So I think that Donegal County Council should be behind that as well.
Deputy Padraig McLaughlin says urgent discussions are needed following recent figures which show 257 post offices across the country have closed in the past 10 years. Donegal has seen the closure of 19 post offices within that period. Deputy McLaughlin told the Dáil the issue affects all parts of the country.
56 of them are in towns and cities. This isn't just a rural issue.
So we need statements. We need the Minister. We know from the Irish Postmasters Union that 40% of the remaining post offices are threatened. Their existence is threatened unless you have a serious support for that sector. So we need statements, we need questions and answers, we need an actual future for post offices, not more of the same.
Repairs to a burst water main in Fannin may cause supply disruptions to Tully, Latbeg, Glinsk and surrounding areas this afternoon, and this morning works are set to take place until around 1 o'clock. The Social Democrats say consumers will vote with their feet if they see how much profit their supermarkets are making. The party is bringing a motion before the Dáil later today, looking for major retailers to be forced to provide transparency on their finances. A Barnardo's study this week found 1 in 5 families have had to cut back or go without food over the past 6 months. Social Democrats TD Jennifer Whitmore says shoppers are entitled to know if they're being gouged.
When it comes to groceries, I mean, we have so many people who are struggling just to pay for the pure basics at the moment. You know, if it was very clear to them that certain supermarkets were really pushing up the prices of those very basic groceries, I think people would go to other supermarkets where that wasn't actually happening.
Well, the forecast cloudy to start with isolated showers, but warm spells of sunshine will break through later on this morning and into the afternoon and evening. Top temperatures today 19 to 21 degrees Celsius in light westerly winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11. Check all today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 9th of July. The death has taken place of Paddy Joe Coyle, Gort Fad Rafo. Paddy Joe will repose at his late residence from 12 noon today, with rosary at 9. Leaving his late residence tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Eunan's Church, Rafo, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. The Mass can be viewed online at parishofrafo.ie. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desired to Cancer Care West, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Maureen Shanahan, née Morning, the Sheeling, Ard O'Donnell, Letterkenny, formerly of Ballymcgowan, Fanad. Maureen will repose at her home today from 12 noon until 9 p.m, with rosary at 9. Removal tomorrow morning, going to St Eunan's Cathedral for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in Conwall Graveyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, before the funeral tomorrow. And the death has occurred of Rosemary Boyd, née Barr, Carrick Finn, formerly of High Road, Letterkenny. Rosemary's remains are reposing at her home. Service tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock in St Andrew's Church, Carrick Finn, with interment afterwards in the Old Church, Dunlewy. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Sean Midlin, Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio.
Will you have a pint, Gareth?
Sure, I can always take the quiet road home.
John has just seen Gareth order a pint. He knows his friend is planning to drink and drive. Should he say something, or just let it slide? Again.
Hey, cheers, John.
Oh, yeah. Cheers, man.
Drink driving kills. Don't let your friends drink and drive. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Welcome into the second hour of the programme. Thanks for your texts and calls coming in. I appreciate it. Greg, my mother went to Knock on pilgrimage 50 years ago, and it was disgusting then. Nothing has changed, and they're making an absolute fortune. So just to call it before the break there, was talking about poor toilet facilities in and around Knock Shrine, and a caller saying half a century ago that problem persisted. Hi Greg, while I've no issue with Trump's tariffs or immigration positions, no rational human being could support his position on backing the Israeli genocide in Gaza. The recent Stoll warning on the Epstein case raises serious concerns. The Attorney General stated clearly that the Epstein client list was on her desk. Now she's claiming the entirety of the case was on her desk, not just the list. That's open to debate. This caller is clearly of the view she said the list was on her desk. This was raised again by Fox News upon the FBI announcement. The Attorney General also said that there was thousands of hours of video evidence of abuse that was being reviewed, all now apparently vanished. Again, just to be clear, she's done a subsequent interview. She never said it was vanished. She said it's there, the videos are there, but because of the nature of it, child abuse material, it can't be released. But no one questioned her to say, well, you know, it was all of it downloaded. Did he create any of it? Is anyone evident in it? But I'll read on from the listener. Epstein was rumoured to be working with Mossad, the Israel Secret Service. Coincidentally, the FBI announcement came the day before Netanyahu's visit to meet Trump this week. Also, the video of Epstein in prison has a full minute removed from the tape. And again, what the Attorney General said is that because they use cassette tapes, seemingly, from 1999, that there's a minute missing every single day. This is what they're claiming, expecting people to believe it, that they're a minute of a video missing every single day because of the way they video it. Anyway, also the video of Epstein in prison has a full minute removed from this tape, and I reference that. Not to mention that Musk and some lesser known others are saying that Trump was in the files. All very murky stuff, and the sudden closure of the case with no prosecution seems very incriminating against Trump. This is one that's not going to go away from the American political scene. But would you not, listener, as well, just your views, I'd be interested in them. If if Elon Musk can say Trump's on them, Steve Bannon's on them, he mentioned Bill Gates is on them, he's mentioned a whole host of people that are in this. How did he see the list? What list is he talking about? Why won't he reference that? If he has the list, why doesn't he release it? You know, we're talking about child protection here. If he's got information, Elon Musk needs to release all of that information into the public domain, and no one seems to be calling him on that, which I don't understand. A caller says there's been no consultation with local communities on where the broadband poles are being erected, so suddenly beauty spots are destroyed like Glengesh. Why is it always the cheapest option? Cables on wooden poles instead of underground alongside roads? Yeah, people will see that potentially as a very legitimate question. Regarding public toilets, I'm a cleaner in an office, and sometimes I wonder at so-called educated people leaving toilets in the state that they leave them in. People need to be held accountable too, definitely. I'm a big advocate of self-responsibility as well. More on the toilets. The toilets in the church in Ballybrack in Greencastle are kept immaculate by one lady who volunteers. The toilets are on church grounds, but they're public. Well, fair play to that person. Michael Kavanagh was on Highland Radio on Monday night with his 8 grandchildren. Congratulations to Michael and his grandchildren for their wonderful music. I didn't get a chance to look that back. On TikTok, I stumbled across a family called the Clark family. I'm not sure where they're from, but it's a dad, 2 sons and a daughter. And if you're on TikTok, they're probably on other platforms as well. Well worth checking them out. I don't believe they're Irish. I think they're American. But the kids are only young, but they love playing music. The smiles on their faces, and they're brilliant. And here's a dad. He's got his one son on drums, who's great in drums, another on bass. He's on lead guitar, and he's got a little daughter that sings and dances and plays a bit of keyboard and what have you. If you want your spirits lifted a little bit, check out the Clark family as well on TikTok, but certainly actually what am I talking about? Check out our own social media, Highland Radio, where you can watch back the full performance or some clips of Michael Kavanagh and his grandchildren. I want to let you know that on Wellness Wednesday today, we'll be talking to Dr. Dara Reynolds, partner at Errigal Dental. So any dental questions, get them into us now. 086 60 25,000. Dara, really good. He answers the questions. He's to the point and concise. Any questions about your teeth, your gums as well? You know, often we only think of, when we talk about dentists, that it's purely the teeth, but obviously it's dental work, crowns, your gums, gum health, etc. So any questions for our dentist, Dr. Dara Reynolds, as it relates to health care of your mouth, 086 60 25,000. Get them into us now, because there will be a rush, and I want to make sure I get through everyone today. I have a sister who went to the hospital last week as she's a stroke victim. The toilets in the hospital are a disgrace. Never mind public toilets. This is our hospital. We need cleanliness in our hospital. I've used the toilets in the hospital on a number of occasions. I always found them to be very clean. Caroline, do we get many complaints about the state of the toilets in the hospital? It's sometimes someone... Yeah, okay. As Caroline just said in my ear, there may be ED when it's busy, but you could have someone that's gone in there and they could have a condition that means they're vomiting, and you might go in like a minute behind them. I'm not making excuses for the hospital, but my experience is they're clean, and I'm just wondering if it's when the ED's very busy at certain times of the day, and maybe someone's gone in there and they don't have full control of vomiting or something else for that matter. I don't know. Let us know. A couple of requests here now. Joe Friel's in Letterkenny, and he's 70 today. Happy birthday, Joe. That comes from everyone at the Breakfast Club. Sounds cool. I'd love a bit of breakfast. Good morning. Please play a request for my youngest sister, Anne McHugh, who's holidaying in Portneuf, and wish her a very happy birthday today. And we'll catch up with her this evening. Sounds like a lovely evening in store. Charlie and Isabel and all the senior Barrett group. Welcome back to Donegal, Anne, and hopefully you're here for the weekend where we're going to have beautiful weather. Our county, isn't it always beautiful, but extra special, I think, when the sun is shining. To Paul and Sinead O'Brien, they're in Chestnut Grove and Lifford. Hiya, Paul. Hi, Sinead. Have a happy wedding anniversary today from Paul's mum and dad, and the mum and dad-in-law as well. What are they like, Sinead? Are they good? Are they good to you? All right, that's a run through some of the comments, and nice to get a couple of your requests too. We're going to be joined by our next guest talking about tattooing. Any questions about tattoos? Let's see what you think. Ruth Kavanagh is going to be joining us after we take a break for the bingo numbers.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 9th of July. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €600. The reference number is S18. It's game number 28. The numbers are 50, 10, 29, 78, 23, 17, 86, 67, 11, and finally 52. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Get the job done with the right equipment delivered direct from Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Free delivery on all equipment has been extended to the Finn Valley area, including Ballybuffet, Stranorlar, Castlefin and Killygordon. With great daily and weekend deals available, call Watson Hire, Lisnen in Letterkenny on 9167777. See Facebook or visit watsonhire.ie.
Attention Swifties! On Saturday, 12th of July at 1:30 p.m, Jackson's Hotel Ballybuffet proudly presents a tribute to Taylor Swift. Ireland's biggest Taylor Swift tribute show. Experience an unforgettable performance by Taylor NI, seen by over 50,000 Swifties, plus special guest Sabrina C. Tickets are €18. Book online at jacksonshotel.ie.
If you're fitting a new kitchen or replacing some tired appliances, now's the time with the Ben Sweeney Euronics Kitchen Bundle. Get a single oven and hob, integrated dishwasher and fridge freezer, wash machine and tumble dryer, all for just €2,000. Other kitchen bundles are available on request. Call us today or visit Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now until July 14th. This weekend, enjoy Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumblin' Paddies and ABBA Sensations. Plus family fun and entertainment for everyone. For full details, see Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Okay, Ruth Kavanagh, tattoo artist and owner of Zombie Dolls Tattoo Parlor, 15 years in business. I think any business to get it to 15 years, an amazing achievement. So congratulations on that, Ruth. It's a great milestone.
Thank you so much, Greg. Yeah, it's pretty insane. 15
Yeah,
years.
It's fantastic. Why do people get tattoos in your experience?
Why do people get tattoos? There is definitely more than one answer to that. I think a lot of people get tattooed usually as a commemorative piece or a memorial piece. That seems to be the most common sort of thing that would happen. You know, people getting little tributes to children or a lost loved one or a lost pet. And then some of us, you know, we just like getting tattooed and we like the look of it. So, and any reason is valid, really.
So the majority might be, you know, an image or a word or a date that's important to them to commemorate a nana or a papa, mum or dad or a son or daughter.
Absolutely. And, you know, in some cases it's very minimal, very small, very delicate. And in some cases it can be larger pieces, you know, and it would incorporate things maybe that remind them of people rather than just an actual word or the actual image. We'd use something that would commemorate them, a toy that reminds them of a child, or, flowers. Birth flowers are a very traditional thing to get done, in all styles, in colour, black and grey, whatever,
What's the oldest person ever came into you for their first tattoo?
The oldest person, I have a current client who is in their 70s.
Get in there.
Their first tattoo at 70, and they're still going.
Right, okay. And I don't, because it's one person, you've given their age, but why would someone wait to that age? I wonder, is it to express themselves? They just said, you know what, I'd just be interested in not the mindset. That sounds like it's a major decision, right? But is it about a liberation? Is it about I don't know, what would make someone do it at that age? I wonder.
I think as we get a little older, we care a little bit less about what people think, and I think society has us in a way where we have to feel like we have to conform an awful lot. And a lot of people think maybe tattooing is for the more rebellious or whatever,
But it did normalise, didn't it? I mean, I think there was a point where that was what it was about, that it would maybe, it was seen as, being a bit, a free thinker. I'm out my own. But now it's not like it is. It's you've got people from all different backgrounds and what have you, for all different reasons, getting tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a point in time where, and a demographic where it would be a more rebellious statement, and then there's always been through time, tattooing has been going for thousands and thousands of years, from tribal tattoos where it would have been leaders of tribes and stuff who had the tattoos, who incidentally were women, and that's been going through, even I would say in the 19th century, the people primarily getting tattooed were the very well off and the royalty, and it was to display their culture and their travels. So it would mark, things that they have done, and it would symbolize their sort of, I don't know, how many times they had traveled. And, maybe that's also the connection people maybe think with the Navy and stuff like that whole time sort of navies and sailors. And,
the anchor. But that's the old Popeye thing from the 1920s, isn't it? The anchor on the forearm. Is getting a tattoo painful, and is it less or more painful on soft skin, or if there's bone behind the skin?
That's an interesting question. Honestly, everybody's pain threshold is different. So there is no set rule on what is or isn't painful. There's a rough guideline on what could be more painful, but sometimes people come in and you're like going, oh, you're getting a piece on this certain area, like your ribs. It might hurt a little bit, and they could be absolutely fine. There could be nothing, but, you can prepare yourself to be, when you're coming for a tattoo appointment, by moisturizing your skin, and just mentally, if you stay sort of nice and calm and relaxed, the more relaxed and calming the environment, I feel like people are more likely to be more comfortable in the situation. And, a lot of times as well, some of the smaller pieces, they don't take long, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Not everybody who's going to be sitting in the chair for 6 hours, And
I suppose too, it's like your tattoo location and your design, your pain threshold, your tolerance, it's all subjective, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's down to whether your health is good, whether you've slept well that night, whether you've got something coming up that you're also anxious about. So there's so many factors that can contribute to whether it's sort of pain-free or, a little bit nippy. But I do have some, numbing aids that can help.
Yeah, okay, that sounds cool. And so over the course of the 15 years, and of course your interest in this area predates that, what trends, and I don't mean necessarily in terms of design, but or maybe it could be design, but design, location, the demographic, I don't know. What has changed in the business over the 15 years to now that's most notable to you?
So I think it being more accessible has opened it up to many different types of people. Social media has really broadened the demographic so much. I can't even say specifically what my sort of age would be.
But that's great, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, basically anybody over the age of 18 up until whatever age they want to get tattooed is seeing what's going on now. And they can also see that the idea of like a traditional tattoo, maybe what we would have thought of in the 90s or prior, of maybe tribal or just traditional American tattooing, which is the one with the very bold lines, that's not the only thing that can be done now. There are people creating like paintings on skin. You know,
how is that done? So say someone gets the image of, sometimes it could be a religious figure or it could be a family member, right? So when you see an actual a representation of a picture of a child, for instance, you see that quite commonly, and it literally is like a painting. Is that still the same tried and tested? It's individual dots of ink, or is there a different way of doing it? Do you do it over Do you put something on someone's arm or thigh, for instance, and then and trace over it? Or how? Because it seems incredibly complex.
It is complex. It's very hard.
Yeah, I was thinking.
And obviously it takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice to get to that level to be able to reproduce as it would in an oil painting. But when we are tattooing somebody, we use a stencil. And that guides us, because when you're tattooing, you stretch the skin. And if you stretch the skin and just go in with what you think might be a straight line, when you let go of that skin, it is no longer a straight line. So when you have a stencil that you've made to guide you, you do it. Some people do it by where the features are on a portrait. Some people do it where the shadowing falls on a portrait. And they have their own method then of guiding them to reproduce the piece. So it's very similar to oil painting. The way I would work anyway, it's very similar to oil painting to reproduce something like a portrait.
Yeah, but there's nothing in the world of art. I can't imagine, Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo da Vinci sort of, trying to conduct one of his works of arts on something that's squishy and moving and can stretch and contract. And
yeah, it's very difficult. So, I mean, it's kind of the same process, mentally as far as how you apply color and color theory and all that kind of thing. So, like today I'm reproducing pretty much like the Baroque style painting on somebody, and it's a cover up.
Excellent. Well, I won't stress you out too much
today.
So when I was talking about trends a little earlier on, I remember when I was younger, you would see it'd be quite common for girls or women to have a tattoo at the base of their back, for an example. And then, but like, so do are things like that less popular? So do you see like maybe people are more inclined to get something on the inside of their arm below their elbow now than maybe at the base of their back, or is that still in vogue? Or do people not follow trends and they just kind of go with what they want?
It's kind of both. There's definitely trends. I would usually, when I'm talking with a client before I do their tattoo, I try and figure out what the purpose of the tattoo is. And if they really just want to go for something that's like more fashion or trend based, that's absolutely fine. And if it's more like a memorial or more of, let's call it an important piece, I would steer away from a trend.
Yeah, I get you. I get where you're coming from. And also, you take your duty of care very, very seriously, don't you, in terms of location, age, thinking it through. That's really quite important to you, isn't it? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So I feel that, firstly, it's very important that obviously our hygiene levels are up to standard and that we know what we're doing and everything is clean and hygienic so that our client feels safe. And then it's very important to consider the age of the person. Sometimes their occupation, if somebody very young is coming in and they want like a forehead tattoo or a neck tattoo and they have no other work, it's definitely a no for me. It's like I would consider how being tattooed could affect them. Now it's less sort of how would you put it? It's less impactful now, I think, where, a lot of people are quite heavily tattooed, some that you mightn't even expect. But, I wouldn't go out of my way to purposely do something that I think could have an effect on somebody in a negative manner.
And I think even in someone with your experience, even having that conversation might give the person pause for thought. And you probably then from that point can make a further assessment.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we do something when we're younger because we feel we can't do it. You know, well, dad wouldn't like that, or mom wouldn't like that, or I was never allowed to do this. But then I go in and sit in front of you, and you know, you're an expert and you've done this stuff, and I go, oh, right, okay, well, maybe there's a logical reason for that, or something along those lines. Do you think the industry is as responsible as you are across the board? I mean, is any industry the same across the board? But
no.
No. Do you have any concerns in that regard?
I think some people are maybe, you know, a little bit thoughtless when they have less knowledge of the whole area of tattooing. And, you know, we all have to learn and we all have to gather information. So I just would recommend that when people are coming to get a tattoo, that they do a little bit of research beforehand and make sure that the place they are going to has, you know, a clean environment, they're hygienic, and they're aware and concerned for their clients' welfare, basically. And always check a portfolio, always check that it's the actual artist's portfolio, and make sure, you know, that you vibe with your artist. We're not going to get on with everybody, and our clients aren't going to get on with every tattoo artist. You know, not everyone is a match, and that's absolutely fine. You know, if somebody is coming to me and they're looking for a large Japanese back piece, I'm not going to do it.
You don't do Japanese stuff. Why is that?
Japanese. I feel like that there are other people who do it much better than I do. And then I do other things better than somebody who maybe specializes in Japanese.
Yeah, interesting. That's an honesty, though, that not everyone might have, I would suggest. If people are doing cover-up tattoos, generally what would they be covering up?
So we get a lot of little cartoon characters from the 90s, a lot of tribal. And then, you know, obviously there's those occasions where people have gotten names.
That's exactly what I was trying to get down to. Thanks for chucking others. But it could be the name of an ex, or a date they met, or an engagement date, stuff like that. There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just get rid of that. We just move it on.
What would you change Greg into, though? Like, how would you cover that up? No, you're all right for now. You're all right for now, I think. But no, you have to. You sort of. That's where you really probably sometimes need to get your creative juices flowing as to how you can incorporate.
I mean, obviously, the size of the cover up can create difficulty when applying a new tattoo. You know, if it's very dark, you know, we have to be very considerate about what skills and what techniques will cover it. It's not always done in one stage. If somebody has a large tribal on their arm, I can cover it. But
what is a what is a tribal? Because
tribal is when you referred to earlier, like what women you'd got on the lower back as tramp style, the black wavy lines. If you can recall George Clooney in From Dusk Till Dawn, the big black wavy lines, they actually have no real meaning or design. They're just more to take up space. You know, they would have been just look cool in the 90s, and a lot of, you know, guys around my age now are coming in and they've got this tribal and they're like, oh, you know, get rid of it.
Right, okay. And what's the easiest thing for you to sort of metamorphosize that into?
There is no easy thing. It's more about distracting the eye and distracting the brain from what was previously there. And I've sort of got my own technique where I will use what I call opaque inks, which are not see-through. A lot of tattoo inks are transparent, and we'll go over it so it's like a solid color piece, but a lot of the time it's a black and gray solid.
Yeah.
And get rid of the old tattoo by just putting, most of the time we can do whatever they want over it, but we just have to be very careful and considerate of where the elements go.
Yeah.
So we get the best coverage, you know, as possible.
Well, we have your 70-year-old client, Beaton. My mum is 83 and she recently got a tattoo, and she did it just because she loved a little flower and wanted it done to match with her grandson. He wanted it and he convinced her to do it, which I think is lovely.
I think that's gorgeous. There's a lot of that. I get a lot of mums and daughters, and I get a lot of, you know, little sort of partner tattoos, friend tattoos and stuff like that. But a lot more like mums and grands are coming in with daughters and sons and grandchildren. And I love that.
Right, let's get to the bottom of it. What one of the more unusual one was a portrait on someone's butt. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Was it a famous person, or was it a loved one, or what?
No,
I don't know. Do I want to be on
someone's
someone's bum?
love on someone's arse.
Huh?
Yeah, and it was, you know, it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be careful where you're pulling when you're looking to stretch the skin.
Don't go there, dude.
All right, okay. And have you ever got like people football clubs? Do people get football stuff done over here much? You see that quite a lot in Britain.
Like not as much as you would maybe expect. Like I think maybe a couple of years back, maybe about 10 years ago, there would have been more call for like the football stuff, and we'd still get like some family crests and things like that, but not as much as a couple of years back. But I'm open to everything because I'm a multi-style artist. I do a lot of styles apart from Japanese.
Exactly. A caller has Parkinson's and would a caller has Parkinson's and would love to have a tattoo. Can they do so with that condition?
That would be something where I would have the person come in and we would have a talk about it and we would see what the possibilities were.
Yeah.
It's usually, unless you're under 18, it's usually not a no. It's a let's talk about it.
Yeah, okay.
So I would usually have the person in person consultation and we would talk and discuss things and see how it goes from there.
Is your artistry transferable? Like, in other words, can you do watercolors, oil paintings, facial? Yeah. Is it a different type of sort of art, or the same?
I feel that having a good foundation in art has really stood to me when I'm tattooing, because I've always been an artist, so I would have trained doing watercolors and oil paintings, and I've always worked as an artist since a very young age, so it's definitely beneficial. I do still oil paint. I don't do watercolors as much now, but I would still, get the pens and ink out.
I'm getting vibes too that you are very creative with wood. Am I mental?
No,
I'm getting these, I don't know. I'm getting these metal, something to do with
metal. I'm a goldsmith. And
are you? I didn't know that. I was just getting the vibe off you that that was something you'd be good at.
I had a shop in Killybegs for a long time, and I would have made some national awards, the National People of the Year awards and stuff like that.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah. All right. Super talented. Listen, remarkable achievement, as I say, 15 years in business and doing it right as well. And it's just interesting to talk about something, well, I was going to say a little bit different, but it's not a little bit different, but it is still not necessarily a convo that's had too often. So it's been lovely chatting to you, Ruth. Thanks so much, and continued success and good luck with the cover-up. You've never misspelt a name by accident. You're not going to tell us any blunders, are you?
Oh, no, you signed a waiver coming in here. I'm not responsible for your...
You do see some, but now in this day and age, you see some brilliant ones, but you wonder, are they AI generated now? I don't know.
Possibly.
All right. Take care of yourself, Ruth. Thanks so very much indeed. Bye-bye. Take care, Slan. Bye-bye. Okay. A caller says, we went on holiday and my mate got tattooed. He thought it was his name, but it was actually Chinese for chow mein. It's been his nickname ever since. He's been called chow mein ever since. Lol. Have you any witty tattoo stories for us, please? 086 60 25,000. We've an 83-year-old that got their first tattoo. We'd love to beat that as well. Why wouldn't you? Sometimes people feel like, I've spent my whole life trying to conform, and I want to do something for me. Why don't I? Another caller, sorry, I just got this. How much does it cost to get a hummingbird in full colour on the shoulder? It's difficult when we've guests on sort of ask about price lists, because it's going to be complex in terms of how much colour, how big, bish bash bosh. So definitely give Ruth a ring at her business, or any tattoo artist for that matter. But Ruth is Zombie Dolls Tattoo Parlor, and they'll tell you over the phone, I'm sure. Any holiday tattoo stories? We've got Chow Mein. I'm not sure if he's listening, but certainly his mate is, or anything like that. A caller asks, is it bad manners to stare at a tattoo? That's interesting. I don't know, any tattoo owners there? Do you mind if people stare at your tattoos? Keep them coming into us. 086 60 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Join us Monday, July 14th for the festival's grand finale, featuring ABBA Sensations Live, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. For the latest festival updates, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Driving on properly inflated tyres will reduce your fuel consumption, extend the life of your tyres, and it's much better for the environment. Get your tyres checked by a Circle ELT member today. There are almost 3,000 member outlets nationwide. Circle ELT, Ireland's tyre compliance scheme, and its members help recycle and recover over 4.5 million tyres every year. To find out more, visit circleelt.ie. Circle End-of-Life Tyres. Driving a sustainable tomorrow.
Nippy, fun and chic don't often describe insurance, but they perfectly fit the electric Fiat 500 you have the opportunity to win if you get a new car policy from On Post Insurance. For great cover at a great price and a shot at the Fiat 500, get a quote at onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply and are available at onpostinsurance.ie/promotions. Competition ends December 31st, 2025. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as On Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post.
Donegal. Thinking of cutting your energy bills or upgrading your home? DLDC and Mount Lucas are bringing the Retrofit Roadshow to you. Join us in Dunloe July 14th to 18th and Letterkenny July 21st to 25th. Free sessions for homeowners. Learn how to boost your BER, upgrade your insulation and access SEAI grants. One-day certified training for tradespeople. Future-proof your skills in NZEB retrofitting. Places are limited. Book now at dldc.org or call 074 9127056. DLDC, bringing energy expertise to your doorstep.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €10.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with their bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Book your free consultation today on 074 972 5822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Now, you may have heard on the news or read on our website that residents' associations could be held responsible for damage or injuries caused by trees falling within their estates. The topic came up at the Letterkenny Municipal District. Councillor Jerry McMonigal said with increased weather warnings around climate change, etc., and warnings of more severe weather conditions in the future, the risk posed by trees needs to be assessed. So, what does this all mean? Brendan Delap joins us on the programme now. He's part of a residents' association. Brendan, thanks for your time.
Hello, Greg. First of all, I would say that, I don't want to be a person that rings on about every issue, but after hearing the news yesterday evening, I felt really compelled to ring you in. As you're aware, I spoke to you regarding active travel recently and my disappointment that the scheme not been deferred. Now, to me, that's a fine example of the purpose of a residents' association, to try and enhance and protect the area. Now, the news yesterday suggested that the residents could find themselves liable for damage or injury.
Or someone's death, for that matter. So that really means it's the maintenance of the trees, because if you're responsible for someone being injured if they were to fall, that means then you're ultimately responsible for them from when they plant to when they might fall.
Yeah, but it's a wee bit extraordinary that most of the trees they're talking about were planted by the council.
Yeah.
And, if trees are deemed dangerous, then it's up to the council to monitor them and take action. I feel now that we should really decommission the Residents' Association. I feel that bad about it, because if we're going to be liable for injury or any claim, it's not sustainable to stay on it.
No, because it is completely voluntary, isn't it? I mean, I know there's structures, but it is groups of residents with an interest in their area coming together to try and, work towards, their good upkeep. This isn't about all of a sudden finding yourself in the papers or on a website accused of being responsible for someone's back being broken.
Well, you can take it to the Neighbourhood Watch Scheme. That's administered through the Residents' Association. I think it's essential that you have to have a Residents' Association before you can set up a Garda neighbourhood watch. So when this estate, or any estate in the town, was deemed adequate, the council took over the estates. That, you know, it's there. It's up to them to look and see the public ground that's on it, to maintain and look after it.
Who owns the public ground in an estate? Because what I heard, the quote I heard from yesterday, it said the landowner is responsible for taking all reasonable steps to ensure that trees on their land are not a hazard or potential hazard to persons using the public roads. Now, if that were my house, I know the situation, I know a potential tree, I might need to cut it down. But does that same rule not apply if the tree's actually in your back garden or facing the road? Is that not reasonable that you should be responsible for that?
Oh, yeah, that is in the private house. But then the public ground, or the, what would you call them?
The green areas?
Green areas, yeah. They should be maintained by the council.
Well, who owns them? Who owns them, you see, I wonder, Brendan?
If we own them, we could sell them, but I don't think we do own them.
So, see, this is the thing. Like, I just wonder if I'd seek clarification on this, but I can't understand how in law. I mean, I understand if you're responsible for your property, what's on your land, your trees. I get that, and I think we can't shirk that responsibility.
No, I agree.
But
entirely.
then the law says the landowner is responsible for taking all reasonable steps to ensure trees in their land is not a hazard. Well, the green areas on an estate that's taken over, surely that is the council's property, and it's they that are responsible. But
yeah, Greg, I agree entirely with every single word you say. But, you know, to hear that yesterday evening, I'll be honest, it sent a shockwave up me because, you know, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The council don't come in and grit. So if a resident grits an area and they miss a bit, could they be held liable? Yeah. You know, it's just opened a Pandora's box for me. So, you know, what we need really is for every resident association in the town now needs to get assurances in writing that under no circumstances should a resident association find itself probably liable for injury or claim for which it is no way responsible.
If I could just go back to the gritting thing, if the council is responsible for if the council are responsible for speed limits in a housing estate, how can they not be responsible for the upkeep of the road in that estate or liable for its gritting and what have you? I don't understand that.
Well, you see, this is cutbacks galore. Most of the estates in the town were swept and weekly, and God rest poor Eamon Harvey used to come down. I live on a hill now and it's fairly steep, but Eamon, no bother, every night of the frost he'd be down gritting the road, and all that was withdrawn, as was the cutting of grass in public areas and things. So, you know, you start to wonder what are the council doing for the...
Well, I'd say a lot of that went away with the town councils. If you looked at timelines, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah, that's a fair point. But the town council has been replaced by a council.
No, I get you. I'm just I think
you know they just couldn't. But Greg, they just can't throw previous responsibilities out the window.
Right. Okay.
You know?
Listen, I think it's incredibly important at this point. Logic would suggest to me that the green areas of a council-run estate are owned by the council. They're responsible for the trees. If you plant a cherry tree or whatever tree in your garden, Brendan, you're responsible for that. I think that's the way society needs to run. I can't imagine residents are responsible for the maintenance of trees in green areas. I'm open to correction on that. I don't know what the story is. Who owns green areas in private estates? That's one I'd be concerned about.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, but there's very few private estates left
Is
now.
there?
You know,
Okay, good stuff. All right.
Them over the years, so
okay,
that isn't
thanks,
really
Brendan.
a runner.
No, that's good, and I appreciate that. It's not an area I'm overly familiar with, but logic would suggest to me that you're responsible for your backyard, the council responsible for green areas.
Yeah,
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Entirely, Greg,
yeah,
but
I don't think that's unreasonable. Let's see. Obviously,
Yeah,
Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh and Councillor Jerry McMonigal had their concerns, and we'll try and get clarity on it for the likes of yourself, Brendan.
Oh, well, my intention now at the moment, after hearing that yesterday, is to decommission the resident association.
Well, hold your fire. I get where you're coming from, but hold your fire till we get some
Yeah.
clarification, Brendan. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah,
Thanks so much
okay.
for your time. Take care. Good to speak to you again. It's important. We don't mind repeat callers. A caller says, the contract that built my estate claims the common areas and trees belong to them, even though it's built 35 years. Well, that's great, because they're responsible now for the trees on them if they claim ownership of the areas. I'm sorry to sort of simplify what came from that meeting, because I would have thought it logical that if you own a house, you own a lawn, you own grass, you're responsible for that and anything on it, and if it should fall onto the road, you're responsible. I don't see any clarification in relation to green areas here, because, but I don't think it's. All of us have to look after our own property, right? And we're responsible for anything falling from it onto public roads. So where's the controversy here? Is it the green areas, or that who's responsible? Is it the residents or is it the council? I'm sure they own them. The council own them, so it's their responsibility. Unless I'm missing something in that story, I'm looking to get more info on it.
The 9 till Noon Show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton, now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts: Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
Bedtime bargains at Cooney's Home Interiors. Huge savings on in-stock beds. 4'6" fabric bed frame from €299. 5-foot bed frame with mattress, only €599. Mattresses from €129. Set of pillows, €10. Bed sheets from only €5. These are just some of the many offers in store at Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny. Offers only while stocks last.
Pink. It's more than a colour. It's a splash that makes everything feel fresher. Pink socks to work? Guaranteed good day. Pink running shoes are a PB waiting to happen. Pink umbrella? You'll forget it's even raining. And now, pink meets 7-Up. Crisp, fizzy, fun. Turning every sip into a refreshing burst of flavour. New 7-Up Pink Lemonade. 0 sugar. Life's fresher with pink.
I was in pain with my right hip, going to different countries on a flight. With the pain I was in wasn't really an option. I googled hospitals in Belfast and Kingsbridge came up.
Republic of Ireland residents can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
From Thursday the 17th until Sunday the 20th of July, all roads lead to Monaghan Town for the return of the highly anticipated 4-night open-air country music festival featuring Ireland's top acts, the Tumbling Paddies on Thursday, Jimmy Buckley on Friday, Mike Denver on Saturday, and Michael English on Sunday, with some of the best support acts, plus the jiving competition. Tickets are available from the West Arna Arms Hotel in Monaghan. For more information, check out Monaghan Country Music Festival website or our Facebook page.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenny's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So, the weather forecast, we're going to have warm breaks of sunshine through this afternoon and evening. Temperatures 19 to 21 degrees. Paul McLaughlin is our resident gardener here in the 9 till Noon show from Ballochdur Garden Centre, just talking about maintenance of estates. Paul, what's your experience in this area?
Hi, Greg. I just, as your previous caller, the news sort of shocked me yesterday about the idea of resident associations have been liable for trees and stuff, you know. We would work a lot with resident associations, and generally they tend to be a very sort of dedicated small group, like, and to make them liable for anything, it just seems been extremely unfair.
Would you be of the view that they should or shouldn't be liable for trees that are actually on their own property?
Oh, within their own property, obviously, if it's within their own private house, if you know what I mean. But in terms of, like, say, an estate of 60, 70 houses, like, to make say maybe 10 people in a residence association responsible for them now. I don't see how it could stand any logic.
And
if you know what I mean.
legally liable as well too. Which why would anyone volunteer onto a residents association if they could find themselves being implicated in some way or other?
Absolutely, I would say they've sort of been penalised for trying to help your community, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. And also then too, I think you made the point as well. Do you need public liability insurance? Would you have to gather money off of residents to cover any claims?
Yes, I would assume that because, like, I know sort of where actually Parkview, where I live, is one of the estates mentioned yesterday with the council. I know we did lose a good few trees whenever the storm came along, like, but once again, whenever it was cleaned up, like, it was all sort of locals went out and cleaned it up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, because you didn't want to have to wait. But so in your area, there's a green area with trees on it. I mean, the council surely aren't saying residents are responsible for that.
No, it seems that that's what they are saying from my reading of it now, but maybe it'll be sort of open to interpretation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get clarity on it because I think that would be completely if the landowner is responsible, the green area is surely the responsibility, and it's not commonage. You know what I mean? It's not like everybody in the estate owns a bit of it.
Exactly. No, because even the trees that did fall down in the storm just in my estate there, like the houses are about, say, 20, 30 years old and the trees are easily 60, 70.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Okay. You've inherited the problem as much as anything else.
All right. Listen, Paul, thank you as always. Roisin, just before the news, what's your view on this?
Yeah, just good morning, Greg. Just to say, I was telling Caroline there that, say, for example, Lash Lawn is a pretty old estate, and I remember living there. And I think it was the Tidy Towns that supplied trees to the residents, to plant them. So that's going back then. But in recent years, any new housing estate, there's a charge. Residents are supposed to pay a charge of, I think it's over €1,000. It's quite expensive. And that there is supposed to go towards the upkeep of the green areas, etc., etc. So probably maybe you might get clarification on that there. But unfortunately, it's like everything else. Who's to oversee? I know somebody belonging to me that was living in a housing estate, and apparently they discovered that only 4 or 5 of the residents were paying. Like it's quite a big estate, but see, a lot of the houses are rented, so it's landlord owned, and there's nobody to oversee the paying of this rent. It's quite expensive. It's over €1,000, and that was supposed to be to pay for the cutting of the grass, all the other
service charges kind of thing. I think that's you'd see that a lot in Spain and Portugal in congregated living, where people pay an annual fee.
That was introduced.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it was introduced in Ireland too, and people were paying it until they discovered then that everybody else in the estate wasn't paying it. I suppose really the idea was that there would be a committee set up and that they would take responsibility to get in a grass cutter, etc., etc. So, unfortunately, where estates, there's nobody to oversee the cutting back of trees, etc. They're overgrown. So maybe that Jerry McMonigal or whoever put this issue up would talk about this charge that was introduced. It was the developers, it was the people that bought the houses. That was a condition. They actually, I think, they signed it at the time to say that they would pay this money.
And was
per
it
annum
a one-off? Okay, per annum. I wonder then when the
council... it's a per annum. It's supposed to be a per annum.
I'm just wondering, once the council took over an estate, did they? I mean, obviously, you're no longer paying the contractor. I wonder, was that money then owed to the council? Did the council seek a contribution from residents in council-run estates?
Yeah, well, that's, I suppose like every estate is taken over by the council, but, probably what needs to be done here is there needs to be clarification on the fact, are the council responsible just for the footpath and the tar macadam into the estate, or are they responsible for the green areas? But my understanding that there's definitely a charge that was, it was introduced back a few years ago, but it's like everything else. If there's nobody to implement it or to make sure, as I said, was it up to the Residents Association to collect it? It certainly wouldn't be a very nice job to go around asking your neighbour, for. So, as I said, maybe that's something that the council would clarify for people, first of all, before they start talking about, who's responsible for trees. And I mean, basically, most of the estates nowadays, there's not a blade of grass, there's not a tree, there's nothing planted. So
We could see more of that. We could see more of that if why buy a house if you could be responsible for a fallen tree. Roisin, thanks so much for coming on as well to explain your point of view.
Right,
I know
Greg.
you had an initial
Okay.
convo with
Thank you.
Caroline. It's appreciated.
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
Summer toys at Tinny's Toys. Everything for an outdoor summer. Swings, slides, trampolines, goalposts, rebounders, sand table, wheelbarrows. Of course, we also have our massive range of kids, pedal and electric toys. Need something for those rainy days? Well, we've that covered too. With the likes of Brooder Toys, Lego, Marvel Toys, books and more. Call into our store on the Leck Road, Letterkenny, or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Tinny's Toys. Much more than just farm toys. Dan boy.
It's Bedroom and Mattress Week at Easy Living Furniture. Everything's reduced in store and online with hundreds of sale specials and free delivery on all bedroom and mattress orders over £499. Hurry, Bedroom and Mattress Week ends soon. Only at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
The Hillary's summer sale just got even better. Get up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters. Plus an extra 10% off everything until the 28th of July. That's 10% off all blinds, 10% off all curtains and 10% off all shutters. With Hillary's, measuring and fitting is always included and your local advisor is with you every step of the way. Book your free in-home appointment today or visit hillarys.ie. But hurry, this extra 10% off everything ends 28th of July. Conditions apply.
It's the 2025 World Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and Charlie's Chips are in the lead again. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and Charlie's Chips are the 2025 World Champions. Sourced locally, hand-cut and freshly cooked. Served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish or delicious chicken. Open Tuesday to Saturday 12 to 8 and every Friday for breakfast from 9. Take away or sit in. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now until July 14th. This weekend, enjoy Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumblin' Paddies and ABBA Sensations. Plus family fun and entertainment for everyone. For full details, see Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And it is 11 o'clock, so it's time for a news update. And it's good morning again to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Avoidable deaths are being caused by a shocking variation in cancer tests and treatments across the country. The Irish Cancer Society says it's identified delays for urgent referrals for both breast and prostate cancer in certain areas. It comes just days after the Journal Investigates published figures showing Letterkenny University Hospital as the country's worst performing hospital when it came to starting treatment within 15 working days of diagnosis. That's a finding echoed by the ICS today, which found only 20% of patients in Letterkenny met that target. More on that story in the last hour of the 9 till noon show with Greg. That's coming up shortly. OPW Minister Kevin Boxer-Moran will meet with residents of Elm Park in Buncrana next week after the Dáil was told they're facing immediate danger and urgent action is needed to relocate them. The houses, which are built on a floodplain, are affected by defective concrete, and the recommendation is they be relocated rather than rebuilt at the same spot. However, 100% Redress Deputy Charles Ward has told the Dáil that one family has begun engaging with the defective concrete scheme to start a remediation process on their home, and Donegal County Council has now indicated that if that happens, the relocation option will be off the table for all residents. A GoFundMe page set up to support the family of a Killigordon native killed in an accident in California on Sunday has raised almost $84,000. Damien O'Brien is survived by his wife Michelle, their 2 young sons, Oscar and Luke, and a baby boy due in September. He was in his mid-30s. The GoFundMe page was set up by his employers, who described him as an extraordinary man and leader. The Progress flag will fly at Letterkenny Public Services Centre during Pride weekend next month. Members of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District agreed this week to fly the flag from August 14th to 17th. The Progress flag is an update of the traditional rainbow flag, incorporating the intersex and trans community logos. And Irish grocery prices are the third highest in Europe, the Dáil has been hearing this morning. Most families are now spending €3,000 more a year to put food on the table. The government is being urged to force supermarkets to publish their yearly financial accounts. And we're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Donald. Back after this short break. Don't forget, we're going to be talking your teeth, your gums, your mouth health with Dara very shortly.
Dad, how does Mommy know a superhero called Quiva?
Quiva? Aviva. Mammy got new home insurance from the superheroes at Aviva.
Why are they superheroes at Aviva?
Because they helped her save 20%.
For 20% off home insurance when you buy online, it takes Aviva. Offer available when you take out a new policy online. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to minimum premium of €230 for home insurance, €115 for contents or buildings only. Home insurance is underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Aviva Direct Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Now, a caller says the council take in charge only roads with private built estates. Green areas do not come under this, although the council take in charge of the roads, they do not own them. Hi, Greg. Hedge cutting is not allowed at the moment, but if unable to see when you access roads because roads are totally overgrown, can you cut hedges for safety? I'm not sure if individuals can. The council certainly can. Hedges can be cut for road safety purposes, even at this time of year, and also they can be cut through the normal agricultural forestry activity. But I'm not sure, like, there is an exception that they can be cut for road safety. I'm not sure if an individual can do that or it has to be the council. We'll get some clarity on that for you because it is quite important. On today's Wellness Wednesday, we're joined by Dr. Dara Reynolds of Errigal Dental in Letterkenny. Good morning, Dara.
Morning, Greg.
You're looking very chilled. How are you getting on?
Fine, yeah, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Before we get to some listeners' questions, how important is good oral hygiene? I mean, because we think of it just on maybe the basic levels, our teeth, or maybe even to a lesser extent, people think about their gums as part of their oral health. But how important is it to keep our mouths clean and tip-top?
Very is the answer. Is very important. Oral health in recent times, there's a lot of research pointing to the fact that if your gums and teeth are in poor condition, it has a direct link to what's called your cardiovascular health, basically the health of your heart, the health of your arteries, because a lot of the bacteria that can build up within the oral cavity around our teeth, around our gums, a lot of people will have experienced bleeding gums when they brush and floss and stuff like that. So that's a mechanism whereby the oral bacteria can get access, get into your blood vessels, get into your blood system, and then can track to your heart, can find sort of weak spots in your cardiovascular system, can exploit those weaknesses and then cause you heart problems or arterial problems down the road. There is also perhaps, well, it's more tenuous, but there are some possible links to dementia and issues like that as well. But there's a lot more research to be done on that.
And how often should one brush their teeth?
The gold standard is twice a day. Brush twice a day. Ideally, floss once a day. Whether you floss morning or evening doesn't matter so much. But I mean, look, it'd be great if everybody was brushing twice a day and flossing twice a day. But I know the vast majority of my patients, don't do that. Like an absolute bare minimum is to brush, once a day. But that's literally the minimum.
And flossing. So, do you floss all your teeth? Is it the front teeth? What's the story?
There's an old saying in dentistry: you only brush and floss the teeth you want to keep. So,
okay.
So, I mean, yes, again, ideally, brush all your teeth and yes, floss between all the teeth. Like flossing can be a bit of a drag. It's like when you're a kid learning to tie your shoelaces, you're all fingers and thumbs. But something you do more regularly, you get better at. There are other things that people can introduce into their oral hygiene arsenal. For example, like there's water flossers available now, which people find a lot easier to use than physical floss, and it is effective. It is effective. So it's worth a shot if you can't get to grips with flossing.
Yeah, and it probably is one of those ones. It's better than not doing anything.
Oh, God, yeah.
Anything.
It's like exercise. Any exercise is better than none. So anything you're doing to keep your mouth clean and healthy is better than not doing anything.
One of my back teeth is cracked. I was told it was cracked, but it's not. I can't get it filled, but sometimes if I'm chewing, it feels like I need a filling.
Yeah,
What can I do
cracked
about that?
tooth is a cracked tooth is yeah, that's a real awkward one to sort sometimes. It's I suppose now as a species, we're living an awful lot longer than we used to. Therefore, our teeth are having to last a lot longer. We've got a diverse diet. Back when we were sort of, cave dwellers, if somebody got to their 30s, they were the village elder, whereas that's not the case now. So it's miles on the clock. The teeth are having to do more for longer. Little cracks can develop. So say you fracture your foot or a bone or a finger. The bone has the ability to repair itself, where a tooth has no such ability. So once a tooth is cracked, that crack's there forever. It can become a nuisance. Yeah, when you're chewing on it, you get this little dart of pain through the tooth. It's really can only be managed. You either sort of stick with it, or you reduce whatever tooth is biting into that tooth. You might take a little bit off the opposing tooth, essentially just to reduce the pressure on the cracked tooth. Or ultimately, you can do things like root canals, crowns, which is, it's a lot bigger work. It's more expensive work, but sometimes it just has to be done if the crack is becoming a real nuisance.
And it depends on the patient's tolerance and what they want to live with, or
exactly.
What
If they can stick with it, deal with it, fine. If not, there are solutions.
Can your teeth be a cause of ringing in your ears, tinnitus? As on brushing my teeth, the ringing seems worse.
That's not one I've heard before.
I suppose, really, though, we hear through bones, don't we?
We do. We hear, because it's like, when you hear your own voice recorded, it sounds unfamiliar. It sounds different to you than what the sound you hear within your own head. So look, I guess there's a possibility that brushing, maybe if they're using an electric toothbrush, that has a certain vibration effect, which maybe manifests itself as an increase in tinnitus temporarily.
Do you know who I'd be interested in giving that information to? Is an audiologist, because it's the audiologist that actually might be able to sort of work with that a little bit better.
Yeah, because it's not one I've heard before, and it might be better to talk to an audiologist.
In case there is a vibration or something in the structure and how it hears, maybe it's something that can be more easily resolved than tinnitus for that matter. A caller says, am I better getting implants over spending money on root canals and crowns? Rheumatoid arthritis medication have left my teeth very bad. Thank you so much.
Right. As a rule of thumb, you're better to work with what you've already got. So therefore, stick with your own teeth if you can. Now, sometimes a point is reached where your tooth is simply just goosed. It's beyond fixing it, and it doesn't matter how much time or money or effort you're going to throw at it, or your dentist throws at it. So the rule of thumb is, if your teeth are reparable, if they're fixable, go with that. But if the point has been reached, beyond which there's no return, if the tooth cannot be fixed, then implants are certainly the way to go. And implants certainly would stand head and shoulders above the alternatives, which may be dentures or bridges or whatever it is.
Can a childhood gap in the front teeth be filled or closed in adult years?
If it's a gap between two natural teeth, that's what orthodontics is for. The teeth can be shifted around, moved around to close a gap.
Even so, you can do that as an adult, of course. I've seen adults with braces.
There's
no
people
issues.
doing that. I've patients doing that. I think oldest patient currently in orthodontics is in their 50s.
Yeah.
And I've heard of patients into their 60s and even beyond. Like a lot of people now, when they're doing orthodontics, it's with a view to doing cosmetic dentistry afterwards. A lot of people will have heard of composite bonding or veneers. So they move the teeth around to get them in the optimal position so that you can do composite veneers or crowns or whatever it is. But sort of to go back to your first question, your listener's question, if their teeth are gappy or crooked, orthodontics is brilliant to resolve that. If they're talking now about a tooth that was lost as a kid, if there was an actual, tooth that got knocked out, perhaps, again, it depends on the situation. If the adjacent teeth can mimic the first tooth that was lost, you could bring them together to close the gap. Alternatively, what also can be done if they're into sort of adolescence or adulthood, you can hold the gap open, and do a bridge in there, or in later life an implant or something like that. So yeah, again, but you're looking at orthodontics one way or another.
Yeah, okay. My 10-year-old boy's terrified of the dentist. He was going great for regular treatment, but now he's afraid of going near them. So he's acquired the fear of the dentist. That can happen for a myriad of reasons, of course.
Yeah, it can, and it'd be interesting to know, or was there a particular instance or something happened in the dental surgery that sort of precipitated the reaction, or is it just maybe from talking to friends at school? Or quite often I find sometimes that some dentists are cool about having the parents in along with the child in the surgery, and that is what, for the most part, what happens. But it's often, I find better from years of experience now, that if the parent can just essentially sit back a little bit, don't crowd the kid, and I have to put it this way: don't pander. Essentially, if you can let the dentist and the child build up a rapport, let them sort of get on with it, without the child feeling that at every instance they can jump out of the chair, run into mum or dad's arms, and be whisked away from this terrible place. So yeah, it just takes a little bit of time to develop that, and I'd say unless something specifically horrible happened to the 10-year-old in question, I'd say it'll come right.
Even if they did, that reassurance in that conversation, unhindered with the dentist, would reassure them. Look, if that happened, it was for this reason, but we're doing that, and that's not good. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think that's really sound advice.
Yeah,
that step back, take a step back a little bit, and trust the child and the relationship with the dentist.
Yeah, absolutely. You get, as you say, in a lot of things, trust the process, and let them sort of get back on track.
Yep, that caller with that brushing exacerbates the tinnitus. They do use an electric toothbrush, but they say thanks for the answer there. I'm in my mid-50s on injection treatment for my bowel. I find a funny feeling in all of my teeth. Ever heard of that?
Injection treatment for the bowel. Guessing that's probably something like an autoimmune, maybe ulcerative colitis or something like that. You see, well, our entire our gut is sort of all linked, from mouth right down to stomach and beyond. So that if people are having, say, a lot of issues with gastric reflux, a lot of people are on Nexium or Nexium-like products at the moment to reduce gastric reflux. So what that does is, particularly during sleep, during nighttime, you can get sort of stomach acid coming up into the mouth, not a huge amount, but some of it, and that can certainly have a detrimental effect on the gums, can make the teeth feel a bit on edge. And I've seen cases where it's gone on for years and years. We've actually, I've had patients where I've been losing enamel. I've told them, look, have you spoken to your GP? Maybe you need to have a scope done, see if there are issues with your stomach, because the signs are on it that you're getting a lot of stomach acid into the mouth, and we've had a lot of success. Yeah. Where suddenly we've got a problem diagnosed, they've got to sort it out, they're on the correct meds, and okay, you can't turn the clock back, but at least it stops it getting any worse. So, I mean, to answer again, go back to their first question, there is a possibility if they might want to have a look at their meds, see if, talk to their GP, can something get altered to stop reflux if that's part of the problem.
But our meds are full of nerves, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Like our entire, our head, our skull, the mouth, jam-packed. Yeah. That's why we use local anesthetics in dentistry. That's because, you want to numb these teeth or numb the gums to be able to work on them, because, a lot of people have extraordinarily sensitive teeth. Even they find having a professional cleaning done, they can find that quite troublesome, quite uncomfortable. So yes, and
I'm not suggesting with the last listener, but sometimes you can, like I get it with my teeth, but also if I see someone walking in bare feet in grass, like Naked and Afraid or one of those shows, like my feet, and I can feel it in my nervous system coming up through my feet, almost imagine it. The nervous system is a remarkable thing, but I think we can play with it a little bit too. Do you do composite bonding, or would you recommend it actually, for that matter?
Yeah, composite bonding composite bonding has really been around for years, but it's become a cover or catch-all phrase maybe within the last decade to describe all sorts of various different types of cosmetic dentistry that's done through the medium of what's called composite. Composite is simply tooth-colored filling material. It's been around for decades. It's been around for 50 years probably, but it's been used more and more in the front part of the mouth, where once upon a time we were doing porcelain veneers and porcelain crowns. Composite is a more what's called in dentistry a conservative treatment, insofar as you're adding to the teeth. You're not stripping any enamel away, like is sometimes the case with crowns and veneers, porcelain veneers. So yeah, composite bonding, I do recommend it because it is conservative. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy enhancing people's smiles, and it's a very common treatment modality. In fact, most dentists will do some type of composite bonding at this stage.
Here's a question where sort of two areas of health meet. I'm on a blood thinner and I have to get a tooth out. The last time it happened, I stayed on the blood thinner, but I bled for 2 hours, so I'm a bit worried now. What would Dara recommend? Continuing taking the tablets or not? Now, I presume they've been prescribed blood thinning tablets for a very good reason.
Yes, and there are different types, the most common being warfarin, which has been around for a very long time. A lot of people will be familiar with that one. And then there's newer types, for example, Plavix is a trade name for one of them. Warfarin and the like, it has to be stopped. You'll have to talk to your dentist and your GP, and they may have to liaise on that. It'll have to be stopped perhaps 24, perhaps 48 hours ahead of extraction. And again, it depends on the type of extraction. If it's going to be tricky, if it's going to be messy, the length of time you have to be off the warfarin, it will have to be longer. Then all of that changes when it comes to the newer anticoagulants or the newer blood thinners like Plavix. Again, if it's not going to be a terribly difficult extraction, you can probably plow on, keep taking the Plavix. But again, all of that stuff, your dentist and your GP will have to liaise on that and decide what's the best course of action, because it changes per extraction, it changes per individual.
Yeah, and your GP will know like that, exactly what the right thing to do in that situation.
Yeah, there are guidelines for all of these things, and it depends on how much of the stuff you're on, why you're on it, what the reason being, and again, then from the dental perspective, how difficult is the extraction going to be? Is it going to be easy? Is it going to be tricky potentially? So again, that's why your dentist and GP will have to talk to each other and then talk to you on that.
Yeah, it can be overcome. I have osteoporosis and may need an extraction. Who do I see?
If you've got osteoporosis and need an extraction, that's not a problem. But if you have osteoporosis and or on a medication in the family of what are called bisphosphonates, a lot of people are on something called Prolia. It's a 6-monthly injection. Now, if you're on the like of that can create serious hassle if you're having teeth taken out. So again, this is one where it really depends on the medication you're on, how much of it you're on, how regularly you're on it, for how long have you been on it. Again, these are areas that your dentist and your GP or specialist, whoever it is, will need to talk, because potentially there might be no issue at all. It might be straightforward, easy, tooth pops out, Bob's your uncle, no hassle. Or it could be a really difficult situation with long-term repercussions for the patient. So that's why it's important for you, this individual and their dentist and their specialist, to get their heads together on this.
I never doubted it, but it goes to show how broad your medical knowledge has to be beyond the mouth, Dara.
Yeah, well, I suppose going back for years, the undergraduate program in dentistry and in medicine is basically it's the same thing for the first
you can see why it needs to be.
First 2 or 3 years, and then you go off in your different directions. But in a lot of ways, a dentist essentially is just an oral doctor.
Yeah.
So you need to have a fairly pretty broad grounding in a lot of aspects of general medicine as well.
Yeah, for sure. Would you recommend Spotlight toothbrushes? Are they better than usual electric toothbrushes? Thank you.
I can't
I've
speak
never heard
to
of
that specific brand. I know it's an Irish brand, and
oh right, it is just an electric toothbrush. Then it's just a brand of electric toothbrush.
It's a particular brand of electric toothbrush that they're made here. I mean, electric toothbrushes in general do a better job than manual. I would say that's a particular Irish brand, and I believe they're pretty good. What I recommend to my patients, alternate brand, it's Oral-B. They have a range of electric toothbrushes, tend to be excellent. I use them myself, and that's my recommendation.
Yeah, don't get anyone actually blooming brushing their teeth. Stick a toothbrush on the end of an electric grass blower, as long as you shove it into your mouth.
Yeah, there's a bit more to it than that.
No, I know. I'm only messing. Let me see. Are receding gums reversible? I think I might know the answer to that one myself.
That's a tricky one. Generally, no. Again, it's down to oral hygiene. You can, if you catch it, you can stop it getting worse. Is it reversible? That's awkward. There are various little surgical procedures where you try and reposition the gums, which are uncomfortable, they're expensive, and not always successful. So you have to think carefully before going down that road. You'd have to see what's called a specialist, what's called a periodontist. A periodontist is somebody that deals specifically in all matters gums, if you like. So your general dental practitioner could refer you off to a specialist to have a look at doing that.
Another question: can enamel be restored if it's worn away, or when it's gone, it's gone?
When it's gone, it's gone. Yeah, you can replace it with an enamel-like material, like we talked about composite earlier. What we're seeing now is an awful lot of people are grinding their teeth at nighttime. You know, life is generally more stressful. We're always switched on. We're on our phones. We never sort of unplug. So I'm seeing a lot of enamel loss through nighttime grinding and stuff like that. That's very difficult to manage. Yeah, but you again, when the enamel is gone, it's gone. You cannot replace it with enamel, but you can try and replace it with composite. That's what's called bonded or adhesive dentistry. It works, but it's never as good. It's never as tough. It's never as durable as your original enamel.
Well, on grinding teeth, a couple of people sort of asking, how do you know if you're grinding your teeth? One listener wakes up with tension in the jaw and a sore head. I suggest they are, or at least closing the jaw very tightly. So that would be a very strong indication. Well, what is the fix for it? I mean, obviously you want to relieve your stress, right? And I presume there are mouth guards and stuff. Is there a way to stop doing it?
Yeah, mouth guards are the gold standard there. You can go to, I know a lot of pharmacies stock a sort of like a boil in the bag, one of these things. It was like gum shields used to be, sports gum shields, where you can sort of warm them up, mold them to your teeth. They work, they work okay. They're an awful lot better than nothing. And then what I often use, if we have a patient and we're trying to diagnose whether they're grinding or not, and we're a little unsure, I would get them to buy something like that because it's relatively cheap and cheerful. They wear it. If they see signs of wear and tear on that, then that diagnoses the issue. It confirms that they are grinding, and then we can get them a better fitting, like a custom night guard that is easier for them to wear at nighttime. So so they're not lying awake at night. This thing is
less likely to know it's even there. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I have a cold sore and my jaw and gum are hurting. Also, I have a swollen gland in my neck. Do I see a dentist or do I see a doctor?
Possibly both. I mean, if you've got, it depends. Like if they are related to each other, or if one cold sore appears close to sore gum, the swollen gland in the neck, I think the cold sore would need to be pretty bad to cause localized inflammation in your what are called your cervical glands, your neck glands. So we might be talking about two different problems here. So I would suggest seeing one, or rather than one or the other, possibly see both.
Yeah, and we do tend to sort of adopt the role of a doctor or dentist. I mean, and presume because it's above the shoulders that they must be connected. This is a bit of a novelty question, maybe. If someone insists on drinking fizzy drinks, they've been told that you better use a straw because it goes straight down your gullet and doesn't interact with your teeth as much. Can you see any logic to that?
I've heard of that before. Yeah. Fizzy drinks per se aren't really the problem, so long as they're sugar free, or again, it's an interesting topic. I'll get on my soapbox now. I'll preach a little that I have the opportunity. What we're seeing a lot now in young men and young women who are sort of gym goers, into a lot of people are into training, big into the GA, big into football, big into athletics, all sorts of stuff, using a lot of energy drinks, which aren't necessarily fizzy, by the way, but tend to have a high sugar content, like a lot of stuff that's marketed as isotonic. We're really noticing it's wrecking people's teeth. So again, I would encourage people, if they are regular gym goers, try and stick to water if you can.
I'm one of those that doesn't go to the gym regularly, but I did. There is a couple of those drinks that I fancy now and again, and you actually do get a sense of it coating your teeth almost.
Yeah.
It's a funny old sensation.
There's a lot of sugar in them, it's not necessarily when you read the label, it may not. It'll talk about carbohydrates and various things, which in other words, it's just sugars of one type or another.
All right, Dara, listen, fantastic as always. Really appreciate your time and. taking the time out of your busy morning. Take care of yourself. Thanks so much indeed.
Cheers, Greg.
That's Dr. Dara Reynolds. He's in Errigal Dental in Letterkenny. So if you have any dental inquiries, obviously get along to your own dentist or if you're a member of Dara's clinic or what have you.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Join us Monday, July 14th for the festival's grand finale, featuring ABBA Sensations Live, followed by a spectacular fireworks display. For the latest festival updates, follow Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
If you're starting a new business in 2025, well, let BizPrint help you with all your printing needs. Logo design, invoice books, business cards and promotional products. Call BizPrint in Letterkenny today on 9177 955 or visit bizprint.ie.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonahur Road, Donegal Town.
Join us at Austin Alton Gortahork this and every Friday night for Donegal's best night of music and dance with one of Ireland's finest singer-songwriters and entertainers, Sinead Cramsey, on stage from 10 p.m. Admission is free and there's complimentary refreshments on the night. Don't miss it. Sinead Cramsey every Friday night, all summer long at Austin Alton Gortahork.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 11:29 and it is time for Business Matters. And the Business Matters podcast from Highland Radio goes live every Wednesday and will be up live very shortly, in fact. Its presenter is Chris Ashmore and he is in studio with me. Hi, Chris. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay, water seems to always be press releases about Waterworld reopening. I'm not sure if it changes ownership or it's constantly being invested in, but it seems almost every other year it's reopening.
Yes, well, I suppose maybe like a bar and a hotel, you need to constantly update, move with the times. And the good news is for people who are fans of Bundoran's number one tourist attraction, Waterworld, it is reopening its doors after an extensive modernisation programme costing around €2 million. Wow. So there's, basically, if you go in, you'll notice that the changing rooms have been completely altered. A lot more of them. There's more lockers, toilets, showers. It's more spacious and just all enhancing, as we spoke about in last week's show, the visitor experience.
Yeah, okay. Friday the 11th of July, which is another option for people if they're looking to do something with the young'uns over the summer.
Yeah, and just worth pointing out for those who are maybe not going to be in the pool and availing of that side of things, there's actually a new viewing area, which is nice for the parents to sit if maybe they're watching the kids and having a cup of coffee and that sort of thing. So that will enhance matters as well. Okay. And then there's the usual slides and flumes and all that sort of thing. So if you're into that, and great to have it if the weather is not too good outside as well.
Oh, defo. Yeah. Circular dress collaboration in LK. We've talked about this before. It's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Yes, it's all about the circular economy, reusing materials. Circular Dress Collaborative in Letterkenny is one of the first companies in Ireland to be part of it. It's a pilot project, 100 businesses around the country getting a verification mark for social enterprises. And basically it's just to encourage and to have a little bit of a certain playing field there that's giving people criteria. You have to tick the boxes. But it's the shape of things to come. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, the Donegal GEA Business Breakfast, it's shaping up too. More big names added to the lineup.
Yes, taking place tomorrow, tomorrow morning in the Clannery Hotel at 8 o'clock. So Jim McGuinness, no surprise, he's going to be there. Donna Kelly of the Circuit Group will be there. Also, Donegal GA Chairperson Mary Coughlin, who you're going to be talking to indeed shortly. There'll be raffles and auction.
Shay Gibbons there now.
Yeah, I hear that. And proceeds to the training fund and the charity partners at Donegal Hospice. So a win-win situation there as the build-up continues. And just on a not unrelated matter, many people going to the match may be aware of the parking around Clonliffe College, which is one of the main sort of car parking areas just near Croke Park. But the seminary site there in Drumcondra, I'm not sure how this is going to affect the parking in the years to come, because, Greg, there's planning permission for 1,100 apartments there. So that might have an impact. Not this weekend, but...
no, they might never start. No. Right, Food Starter Programme and Business Support Clinic. What's this about?
There's a Food Starter Programme beginning shortly. So if you have an idea, look, I don't know, Greg, how good your scones are or your flapjacks, whatever, but maybe you want to commercialise it. This is run through the local enterprise office. You'll get all sorts of tips about the whole food side of things. And importantly... food legislation, health and safety, and there's a lot of hoops that you have to go through.
But they aren't insurmountable. With the right advice and support, sometimes people might be discouraged by that. But, there's lots of people who are working with them.
Yeah, and absolutely. And this is, I suppose, one of the appeals of the course, that sometimes people might think, it could be a bit daunting. And there is certain things you have to obviously comply with. But look, if you're in the know and there's assistance there to help you with the various applications that you'll have to go through. So contact the local enterprise office for that if you're interested in that. And they also are coming up shortly as a business support clinic. Great way of just sort of getting a good idea of how your business is going, bouncing a few things off people. And that's taking place this Friday, the 11th.
Okay, so on the podcast, of course, you talk all things business. And, of course, tourism is a huge string in our bow. From a tourism perspective, and you're starting to see now the schools are closed, the exams are finished, you're starting to see the numbers creep up in our most beautiful county, and you're focusing on a particular tourism initiative this week, Chris.
Yes, this is in the Mulroy Bay area, so essentially the area north of Letterkenny that takes in the likes of Cranford, Downings, Milford, Kerrykeele, Fanet, that sort of area. And they had a booklet. They produced a booklet down there, the Mulroy Drive Tourism Group. And there is this Mulroy Drive, which is a 35-kilometre route. And Paddy Logue is the chair of the tourism group down there. And they've used the website now that they've launched to tie in with the booklet. They're encouraging people to supply them with the information. And when you go into it, Greg, it's a relatively small area, but it's quite amazing just how much there really is there. And it's not just geared towards tourists and they're trying to attract people from outside the county, but many people within the county, we don't know what's on our own doorstep.
I was in Kerrykeele yesterday, and, it's a buzzing little place. It's not that little too. Some wonderful old buildings. The old bakery on the outskirts in and of itself is beautiful, the Shore Drive, but then you go into it, and as I say, there's lots going on, lots of businesses. Fanet itself, how many people have been to Fanet, obviously people more familiar with the likes of Downings and Milford, but there are just beautiful little places dotted around that peninsula, and you can go and explore it in a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But actually make a day of it.
And so many small enterprises have emerged in the last few years, and Paddy Logue touches on this. You've everything from surfing, kayaking, rock climbing, and often these are one-person operations or two-person operations. They may only be seasonal, and that is part of the whole initiative, is to extend away from the traditional summer to get in those shoulder periods. And he also makes a point that, there's really good value to be got still here in Donegal.
Basically, it's an information tool to let people know, both locally and away coming on holidays here, of what's in the area, from beaches to golf courses to anything at all that we think we might want to avail of. visitors coming, they do, especially from continent, they tend to plan their trip and they look for information on where they're going, what's to visit, and this is what we hope our website will do, and we're targeting that type of a trade. So we're just trying to highlight our area and produce as much information as we can for that area. It's very difficult for small enterprises to get their name out and to get it, say, to a visitor in Holland or France or Germany that might be thinking of coming. They don't have the resources to do it. And maybe by putting it all together on the one page, we can do. I mean, to be fair, even in the last 5 years, the amount of small enterprise businesses that have started up, like through kayaking and boat trips and on Sheephaven and stuff, there's a lot more for people to do now, but it's getting it highlighted and so the visitor can know that it's there.
And they're doing so well, Chris. You're a big fan of that website.
Yes, indeed. Sometimes you go into websites and you click and you
do fancy for their own good.
Maybe they're overly complicated, but this is very much, it's clear. There's subsections. You click on it. For example, there's a section on golf, and if I click Rossapenna, it takes me straight to
links it
there. So very quick, very well laid out, imaginative, bright, and I suppose the old cliche, it does what it says on the tin.
A bit like yourself, imaginative, bright, and you do what you say on the tin. Right, okay. That podcast will be up live for you shortly on our website, highlandradio.com. It's in the listen back section all week, and there's a whole plethora of podcasts, 250, in excess of 250 at this point, well in excess, and talk of all things from making honey to creating a tourism guide and everything in between. It's all there. Fantastic resource if you just want to hear about people working in business in our region, but also too if you have a business. There's so much advice and what worked for businesses, what didn't work, Chris. It's a huge resource for that type of thing.
And so often, Greg, you hear other people's stories, and sometimes that can indeed be the light bulb moment for you.
For sure. Okay, sorry, I was reading a comment. Chris, thanks so very much indeed. Chat to you in a bit.
Thank you.
Bye.
The 9 till Noon Show, proudly sponsored by the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now in full swing. This weekend, catch headline acts. Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumblin' Paddies and ABBA Sensations. For tickets, search Lennon Festival on Eventbrite.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
Since I switched to Hidden Hearing, I can hear it all.
You could save up to €3,000 off invisible hearing aids. Save when you switch to us, upgrade, or save on your very first hearing aids. Pre-phone 1-800-370-000. Switch and save at hiddenhearing.ie. You should go to the hearing experts. T's and C's apply.
Carrigart's biggest weekend of the summer is here. Carrigart Fest kicks off this Friday with One for the Road. Bingo Loco goes country on Saturday, and the Whistling Donkeys are live Sunday. All in the marquee. Tickets going fast on Eventbrite or at reception. Stay the night and enjoy the new restaurant. Book now at carrigarthotel.com.
Print Supplies and Frosses delivers managed print solutions that save you time and money. With remote servicing and local support, we take the hassle out of printers and photocopiers. Stay efficient, stay supplied. Email sales@printsupplies.ie today. Print smart, save money, trust local.
My Future Fund, the new auto-enrollment retirement savings scheme, is coming. You pay in, your employer pays in, and the state tops it up. It all adds up to a great way to save for your future and something to look forward to. For more information, visit gov.ie/auto-enrollment. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Plan something new at the start of the year? Well, who hasn't? Now's your second chance with the 252 registrations at iMotors. Take the wheel of the iconic Qashqai, the bold X-Trail, the sporty Juke, or go electric with the stunning Nissan Ariya. They're here and they're waiting for you. Visit imotors.ie today.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Stephen Sheridan's chair of the Downings GA Club, Stephen, and you're one of, a good morning to you, by the way. You're in the same boat as an awful lot of clubs. A lot of disappointed members in Downings and surrounds today.
Good morning, Greg. Stephen Shevlin here.
Shevlin, sorry, as if I didn't know you, Stephen. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, there's a lot of disappointment in Downers now. We haven't allocated the tickets to the members yet because we don't want to let anybody down, and we're still hoping that we'll get another allocation from the county board. So we submitted a request for 126 tickets from the county board. We received 65% of that. You know, the demand is high from members and family and those who have given significant time and commitment to the club. Now, I know that there's an agreement between Croke Park and Ticketmaster, you know, but it's disappointing that grassroots members, you know, volunteers and former players, coaches, committee members are, you know, they're overlooked in this process, Greg.
Well, we're being told to become part of our local GA club, and part of the gravy of that, of course, is, you know, better access to tickets. Croke Park's not going to be sold out. It's what, 60,000 people might be there? How can you be only getting 65% of tickets you're requesting?
I can't answer that. I'm just hoping that the county board will get a further allocation from Croke Park. You know, on previous figures in Donegal, there's 11,500 members. So if you take the McGuinness factor into it, let's say there's 15,000. Let's say there's an increase of 25%. That's 15,000 members. That's 18% of the overall capacity of Croke Park. And if you give me 25% and give the neuter of 10%, that's 50% of the capacity of Croke Park. Where's the other 50% gone? One of your rival radio stations said that they're expecting 70,000 supporters.
Right,
I know it's out of the hands of the county board. It's simply not acceptable when committed club members can't access tickets, and these are members that have been travelling the length and the breadth of the country supporting Donegal.
Oh, I know the frustration, and they genuinely have been doing so.
When Ticketmaster opened up last week at 2 o'clock, I logged on, hit the button. The moment the site opened, I was 7,400 in the queue. I was hoping to purchase 4 tickets side by side for myself and my family. I was unable to get tickets beside each other. You know, the current system is beginning to resemble airline seat allocation. You know, where priority will come at a price eventually. I hope this is not.
Well, I also too was chatting to someone who could book 2 adults and 1 child ticket, but couldn't book 1 adult and 2 child tickets. You know, that doesn't make sense. Stephen, where are your tickets for? I mean, are they for the lower stands, upper stands, both?
Well, we've got some for the lower stand, we've got some for the upper stand. We got 4 or 5 for the hill. It's hard to know. Yeah, I don't have them here in front of me, but
I know. Just wanted to get a sense.
I'm very, very reluctant to distribute the tickets to the members because, you know, to be honest, when members fail to secure the tickets, they don't blame Croke Park, they don't blame Ticketmaster.
No,
they blame the local club officers.
Mm-hmm.
Those who, absolutely. That's where the finger blame's going to be pointed. You know, would this happen if it was Dublin, if it was Armagh? The president of our association has influence in the platform to make sure that it doesn't happen again. A more fair and a more transparent system has to be put in place.
Okay.
You know, either release all the tickets through Ticketmaster or ensure the clubs are given a reasonable window to submit their orders before any public sales.
All right, Stephen, take care of yourself. Thank you for that. Stephen had to rush into a meeting, and Mary Coughlin, the chair of the Donegal GA County Board, time very important as well. Mary, I want to talk about. Listen, there's a brilliant buzz around the county. Lots and lots of people are going to get tickets. They've got their accommodation or they're driving up and down, and we've been doing the build up to the game and we'll continue to do so. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the big positive nature of this as well. But obviously, Mary, as you understand, we have to recognise where, you know, people are finding a bit of frustration, and it's the hardcore fans. It is those fans that are members of Neve Breach, Terman, St. Knowles, etc. Go ahead.
Just a minute. Just a minute, Greg. First of all, you have the wrong person on if that's what you want to talk about. You should have rang Alan Minton in Croke Park. So, let's get a few facts, and the chairman of Downings is completely correct in what he said. So
can I just ask a question, Mary? What do you mean? What did you mean? Sorry, Mary. What did you mean? I rang the wrong person?
Because you want me to answer on behalf of Croke Park, which I'm not in a position to do so.
I simply wanted you as chair of the GA in Donegal to talk about what your clubs are going through.
I know exactly. We had a county board meeting or a county committee meeting on Monday, and the Cahill there and many others, including all of the executive, completely endorse what has been said. Mm-hmm. So from what I can ascertain, there is an agreement between Ticketmaster and Croke Park about the sale of X number of tickets. I rang a number of colleagues during the week to see what their allocations were and how they managed for other games. The majority of them do not use the system that we use except if they're in an All-Ireland final. So that's the first thing. Second of all, we were not advised, and the Treasurer had been on 30 seconds after we won the game about the ticket allocation, that the allocation to the clubs would be given simultaneously to them going on sale on Ticketmaster. What should have happened is that the clubs had a chance to put in their orders, then out of that you get your allocation, and then after that the tickets would be available to purchase on Ticketmaster, and that did not happen. Now, the situation is we got an allocation of 3,000 tickets. That was not enough. It was something like 7,500 orders came in. Every hour of every day, the county board, the executive, and particularly our treasurer, has been trying to get more tickets and more tickets. We did get an allocation on Friday, we got an allocation on Monday, we got an allocation yesterday. It is not going to satisfy, from what I can gather, absolutely every need. And now I've noticed that a number of clubs are working together trying to sort things out. It does not take away from the difficulties that the executive of clubs have, particularly their secretary and chairperson, who are dealing with these issues. We did not get enough Hill tickets. Like in the main, a lot of our young people who play football like to go to the Hill, especially when Dublin's not in it. So, that is something they all wanted to look forward to, and we did not get half enough tickets. We did not get enough tickets that were families, but there's 3 ladies working in the office who are doing their level best to try and facilitate and help people. Mm-hmm. There's also a proviso, there's a formula there. If there's, based on membership, it's based on membership from the 31st of March. So if your club has 400 members or 200 members, that is their membership. There's a formula worked out as how it's divided. You take your membership, you divide it by the number of members in the county, which is about 13,500. You multiply it by 100, and that equals the percentage of the tickets that's allocated, that's brought. The big issue of the delay is the fact that we were hoping against hope to get more tickets, and that's why a lot of the clubs were delayed, because we had quite a number of clubs who had over what their membership would be, on the assumption, I assume, that a lot of people would be supporting their club, or that they would see that the club would be a better way to get tickets. So that is the situation. We are doing our level best, but we're not happy about the way the county has been
I don't know
treated.
what part of
But
this conversation
we
you thought
also
I was trying to blame you. What we invited you on for, and maybe there's been a miscommunication, was as us as a county who are all experiencing this, not to blame the 3 hard-working people, which I certainly never did or never would, that are trying to sort this out. But what can we do as a collective? Maybe as you, as the chair of the Donegal County Board, leading us to sort of to make sure we can.
The chairman and Downings did say something which is quite true. But there's a couple of things. First of all, it's fantastic. I spoke to a couple of people who have lost out in the competition, and they turned around to me and said, well, I wish I had your problem. Now, that is to the fact that we are where we are. That being said, if there's a situation whereby the methodology in which tickets are being allocated from now on for any game apart from an All-Ireland final, then we may have to look at what we do. In other words, like I spoke to Kerry. Kerry don't do what we do except if they're in an All-Ireland. Meath don't do it. They all use Ticketmaster. And there's an allocation for sponsors and executive management, etc., small allocation made to each county, and then everybody has to do it themselves. Now, there is an issue there and a question there for a lot of people is why should we not be, what's the point in being a club member? And I can see that point, and it is a very good perspective. But I suppose the club is more than tickets. The club is about people. It's about training young people. It's about creating a talent, an atmosphere, a sense of community. But that's a different argument to today. We are still trying to endeavour to get more tickets, if at all possible. It is creating a lot of difficulty. And looking at the number of tickets that have been sold, it looks like it's nearly a sellout for the 2 games that are on Sunday. But I appreciate very much all the work that people are doing, and everybody's doing their level best to try and ensure that we get as many tickets as we can and satisfy. Look, I was talking to them in Kerry, and not everybody in Kerry is going to the game, but I would say everybody in Donegal would. So, we have a dynamic up here where everybody is supporting their team. We went out strong over the last number of years to support them, and particularly this year and last year, there has been a huge number of people attending. Like, we had 15,500 people in Ballybofey. I think there was 9,000 in the main at games in other counties. So we have that tendency to be very supportive of our teams, and we're ambitious, and rightly so to be ambitious. We're ambitious for the team, and we're ambitious for our own people, and we're ambitious for our young people that hopefully would see the opportunity that they might have in the future by putting on our jersey.
All right, thanks for your time. Have a good day. Mary Coughlin, Chair of the Donegal County Board there.
The 9 till noon show with the award-winning Lennon Festival Ramelton. Now until July 14th. This weekend, enjoy Honour, Queen Tribute, Tumbling Paddies and ABBA Sensations. Plus family fun and entertainment for everyone. For full details, see Lennon Festival Ramelton on Facebook.
Your next new car is waiting at Manor Motors, your Opel dealer in Donegal. This 252, get a €1,000 trade-up booster on any Opel model and enjoy 2.52% finance. Choose from the bold new Corsa, stylish Astra, eye-catching Mokka, or all-new Grandland. Available in petrol, diesel, hybrid and electric. Don't miss out. Visit Manor Motors in Manor Cunningham or see manormotors.ie. Manor Motors, your trusted Opel dealer in Donegal.
It's Bedroom and Mattress Week at Easy Living Furniture. Everything's reduced in store and online with hundreds of sale specials and free delivery on all bedroom and mattress orders over £499. Hurry, Bedroom and Mattress Week ends soon. Only at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, Easy Living has it all. Easy Living Furniture. Luxury furnishings, affordable luxury.
This July 18th and 19th, Gweedore comes alive with Salt Music Festival 2025. On Saturday 19th, experience The Stunning, the Sharon Shannon Big Band, Lee Brady, the Luke Combs Experience, and many more. For more information and tickets, go to saltfela.ie. Salt Music Festival 2025. 2 days, one place, great music.
Thinking of a new kitchen, dreaming of a bathroom upgrade, or finally tackling that garden project? At B&S Credit Union, we are introducing our lowest ever home improvement loan rate to help turn your dreams to reality. B&S Credit Union is now lending up to €100,000. For full details of this great rate and flexible loan product, visit our website at bnscu.ie or freephone 1800 290 390, where our experienced loan team will be delighted to help you. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenney's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
I don't know, I feel like the ticket fiasco is my fault now for some reason. But anyway, here we go. What's the weather forecast? What's the weather forecast letting us know? It is letting us know that it's going to be warm with spells of sunshine breaking through during the afternoon and evening. Temperatures of 19 to 21 degrees in high westerly winds. Okay, we're very near towards the end of the programme. Now, tomorrow's Thursday again already. Can you believe it? My word, it's going in so quick. Bandwagon supporters getting all the tickets and genuine supporters who never miss a game missing out. Typical GEA, take your membership and give you 2 fingers then. The concerns seem to be pointing to bandwagon jumpers who maybe joined after... Sorry. If you joined after, is it March 31st or March 1st? After that, your membership doesn't entitle you to apply for tickets as such, or certainly not at the front of the queue, so I'm not sure how rigidly that's enforced. Hi, hedge cutting is not allowed at the moment, but if you're unable to see where your access road because of roads are totally overgrown, you can cut hedges for safety, so you can do that as an individual, as a citizen. Greg, tattoos are not rebellious these days. They are commonplace, which in my book makes them boring. I don't mean this in a judgy way, but sometimes now if someone doesn't have a tattoo, that's the person that stands out a little bit. And I'm not saying people got tattoos to stand out, if that makes sense. But now not having a tattoo is almost, if you're of a certain age, of course, is actually almost the new tattoo, if you know what I'm trying to say. Right, listen, thanks so much to all of you Thanks to all of you who listened to the show today. If you watched the show today, texting and all that kind of crack. Any we didn't get to, we'll carry over till tomorrow. So until 9 o'clock, have a great day. But
The
stay,
9 till noon
stay
show
safe,
with the
stay
award-winning
tuned. Joe
Lennon
Bresson's
Festival
next.
Ramelton. Join us Monday, July.
And a big thanks to the Lennon Festival for their support.